Wait, Mary, it's me, a voice said. It was my ex-husband. I couldn't believe it. 10 years ago, he ran away with my son's wife, Sarah, and they'd been missing ever since. I never wanted to think about them again, let alone hear from him. But now, after all this time, he called me. He didn't apologize or explain. Instead, he demanded, I'm going to live at your parents' house now. You're still living with them, right? You need to leave my house. I was stunned. We hadn't spoken in a decade, and now he wanted to take over my parents' house to live with the woman he betrayed me for. He even mocked me. So, you're still with your parents? Have you remarried yet? You should move out as soon as possible, he said, laughing. For the first time in years, I felt a wave of anger, but he didn't know one thing: I wasn't living with my parents anymore. I calmly replied, if you're talking about my parents' house, it's not here anymore. Huh? He sounded confused. This moment was a turning point for me. I wasn't the same woman I was 10 years ago. I was determined to stand up for myself. Let me introduce myself properly. My name is Mary Kane. I'm 60 years old and work part-time as a teacher at a private school. Even though I've reached retirement age, I continue teaching because I love my job. Maybe it's because of my parents. They were both respected teachers, and growing up, I admired them and wanted to follow in their footsteps. I was once married to a man named Stephen. We were together for years before divorcing a decade ago. It was a painful breakup, and I never thought I'd hear from him again until his call today. Stephen and I met in college when I was 21. I was working part-time as a tutor while studying to become a teacher. Stephen, a new part-time tutor, had just joined. He was older, but I had more experience, so I was asked to train him. As we worked together, we became close and eventually started dating. After 3 years, we got married and had a son, Michael. Life seemed perfect. I found a full-time teaching job after graduation, and Stephen and I built a life together. Years later, Michael grew up, went to a design school in New York, and got married to Sarah. But everything changed after that. We were so happy for Michael when he got married. We wished him and Sarah a wonderful life together, hoping they'd build a happy family. One day, Michael came home unexpectedly. He hadn't visited in a long time since he'd been busy working as a figurine prototype designer, but something seemed to be troubling him. Mom, he started, you're still married to Dad, right? Yes, I replied, feeling thrilled to see him but also worried about where this was going. He hesitated before saying, I saw Dad with Sarah in Brooklyn the other day. I froze. Michael explained that last Friday night, he saw Sarah walking arm in arm with Stephen. They were in Brooklyn's hotel district. On his way home from work, Michael became suspicious and decided to follow them. He watched as they walked into a hotel together. I couldn't believe it. Stephen and Sarah were in-laws, and they always seemed to have a close, father-daughter-like bond, but meeting alone at a hotel? That was shocking. I wanted to dismiss it as a misunderstanding or some kind of mistake, but Michael had proof. He showed me a photo on his phone, clear as day. It was Stephen and Sarah walking into the hotel together, arm in arm. Then, it hit me. That same Friday night, Stephen had come home late. He said he'd been working overtime, but now I knew that was a lie. Looking back, I realized Stephen had been coming home late more often in recent months. He always had excuses: working overtime, going to happy hour with colleagues, or sudden business trips on weekends or holidays. At first, I believed him, but now it all felt suspicious. Could these excuses have been a cover to spend time with Sarah? I asked Michael to send me the photo and assured him I'd confront Stephen. After he left, I waited for Stephen to come home that night. When he finally arrived, he reeked of alcohol. The smell annoyed me, but I didn't back down. I went straight to the point. Stephen, I said boldly, I saw Michael today. Is it true you met with Sarah last Friday? Stephen froze for a moment before stammering. Yes, we briefly met. I think I mentioned it, didn't I? His nervous reaction made it clear he was hiding something. His eyes darted around as he tried to read my expression. What did he say? Stephen asked cautiously, clearly uneasy. I confronted Stephen with the truth. Michael said he saw you and Sarah walking into a Brooklyn hotel together, I said, holding up the picture Michael had shown me. Stephen's face froze. His eyes widened in shock, darting around as if looking for a way to escape. He sighed deeply, as if he had no choice but to admit the truth. I can't believe Michael noticed me, he muttered. I guess I got carried away. Stephen, no, I exclaimed, stunned. He didn't even try to deny it. Well, there's no point making excuses now, he said, and then, He confessed everything. Stephen admitted he had started a relationship with Sarah 6 months ago. He claimed she had made the first move, and he had given in. Now, he said his feelings were primarily for her. 6 months ago, Michael and Sarah had celebrated their 3rd wedding anniversary. To think that was when this betrayal started, it left me trembling with shock. Stephen continued without hesitation. That's why I want to marry Sarah. Mary, I want a divorce. His words hit me like a thunderbolt. I could barely process what he was saying. I objected angrily, nearly losing control, but Stephen wouldn't back down. In any case, I'm divorcing you, he said coldly. I can't stay with you anymore. The next day, Stephen never came home. His belongings were gone, and a completed divorce decree was left on the table. Later, I got a call from Michael. He was crying. Sarah had also left him, taking her belongings and leaving divorce papers behind. She had disappeared without a trace. Stephen and Sarah had eloped and vanished. That was how my marriage ended 10 years ago. After the divorce, Stephen and I sold the house we'd shared. I moved into a new home closer to my workplace. At first, I was overwhelmed with sadness and loneliness, but as time went on and I threw myself into work, my emotional wounds slowly began to heal. Teaching had always been a rewarding job for me, and I found peace in devoting myself to it. Over time, I grew close to my students and colleagues, who brought joy and purpose back into my life. I worked part-time even after reaching retirement age, and it kept me active and fulfilled. Stephen and Sarah became distant memories. I thought about them less and less as the years went by. My income wasn't as high as before, but it was enough to support me. Michael also found healing. After the shock of his father and wife's betrayal, he poured himself into his work with passion. Knowing he was doing well brought me relief. Then, one day, the peace I'd built for myself was shattered by a phone call. "Hello?" I answered. "Mary, it's Stephen," came the voice on the other end. It was the first time in 10 years I had heard from my ex-husband. Hearing Stephen's voice after 10 years made me want to scream. I couldn't hold back my emotions. "What do you want now?" I snapped. "You're not here to talk about the good old days, are you?" My voice was sharper than I intended, but it was understandable. I hadn't spoken to him since he walked out on me. Stephen, trying to stay calm, replied casually, Hey, why are you so upset? You're the one who agreed to the divorce. Why are you acting like this?" I couldn't hold back. "You're the one who ruined everything. I don't consider you my husband, and I don't even want to hear your voice." Stephen ignored my outburst and got straight to the point. "Look, you're living in your parents' house, right? I need you to leave. Sarah and I are moving in." His words hit me like a slap in the face. I couldn't believe his audacity. My anger boiled over. "Why are you saying this to me?" I shouted. Completely oblivious to how upset I was, Stephen kept talking. "Sarah's having a baby," he said, "but raising a child is a lot more expensive than we thought. Things have gotten really hard for us." He explained that their relationship had been passionate despite their 30-year age difference, but when Sarah got pregnant last year, everything changed. Both Stephen and Sarah quit their jobs to focus on their new start, but when the money ran out, they struggled to find decent work. They ended up working part-time to scrape by, living paycheck to paycheck. Now, with Sarah unable to work after giving birth, their finances had completely fallen apart. "I tried to ask Michael for help," Stephen continued, "but he refused to see me. I even thought about asking my parents, but they've disowned me too. They're all so stubborn." He laughed, as if it were some kind of joke. Hearing this, I remembered his family, a strict father, a strong-willed mother, and a serious younger brother. I had met them years ago, and I never imagined they'd tolerate such betrayal. How could Stephen abandon all those relationships and expect help now? "So, you're saying you want me to leave my house for you too?" I asked, my voice trembling with rage. "Yes," Stephen replied bluntly. "Sarah and our baby are more important than you. You're just a single woman with nothing going for her except being a teacher." That cruel remark pushed me over the edge. "Get the hell out of here," I shouted, barely able to contain my anger. Had I been too generous in my memories of him? Over the years, I must have softened the truth, because I never expected Stephen to be this awful. I took a deep breath and said in a cold, low voice, "If you're talking about my parents' house, it's gone. It's not yours, and it never will be." When Stephen demanded the family home, I told him the truth. My father passed away 3 years ago, and my mother last year. The house was too big for me to live in alone, so I sold it. I don't have it anymore, Stephen. Stephen was stunned. "Huh? What do you mean? Where do you live now?" I'm not telling you where I live, I said firmly, and even if I did, I wouldn't let you in. Don't ever come here. Stephen lost his temper. What about my inheritance? When your parents died, the family home and the money should have gone to me, right? His words made me furious. How could he talk about my parents' deaths so coldly, only thinking about money? Stephen must have been planning to take not just my savings, but also my parents' inheritance. But he didn't know the truth. My parents, outraged by Stephen and Sarah's betrayal 10 years ago, had disinherited him entirely. When Michael and I told my parents what Stephen and Sarah had done, they were devastated. They had treated Stephen like their own son and trusted him completely. His betrayal hurt them deeply. Before their deaths, my parents made their wills very clear. They left everything to me, including the family home, to ensure people like Stephen and Sarah wouldn't get anything. My father passed away 7 years after the betrayal, and my mother just last year. Although it was hard to let go of the house filled with memories of my parents, it was too big for me to live in alone. Following their wishes, I sold it, knowing they would have preferred it to go to someone worthy rather than Stephen and Sarah. When I told Stephen this, he exploded. Don't play dumb with me, you can't just take everything like that. I kept my composure. I inherited the property legally. Stephen, my parents wouldn't have forgiven me if I let you have it after everything you did. Stephen had done nothing but wander aimlessly with Sarah. He had no right to interfere in my life now. After he realized he couldn't manipulate me, he hung up the phone in frustration. I stared at the phone, feeling a mix of anger and disbelief. How could Stephen, someone I had spent years of my life with, be so selfish and childish? He abandoned everyone who had cared for him, then came back expecting help. Just as I was processing my frustration, my phone rang again. It was Sarah. I didn't even know your parents were dead, she snapped. How could you be so heartless and not tell me? They were my in-laws. Her words didn't touch me. If Sarah truly cared about my parents, she would have offered condolences or asked to visit their graves. Instead, her second sentence revealed her true motives. She was only interested in inheritance and money. This only confirmed what I already knew. Neither Stephen nor Sarah deserved to sit in front of my parents' altar. I cut her off mid-sentence with a few sharp words and hung up the phone. Later, Michael called me. Mom, did Dad and Sarah come over? No, I told him, but they called asking about my parents' house and inheritance. On the other end of the line, I heard Michael sigh heavily. Michael called me again. Mom, I thought they might contact you since they came to my place the other day. Michael, are you all right? Did they do anything to you? I asked, worried. I'm fine, Mom. They just banged on my door and made a big scene, but when I said I'd call the police, they ran off. But I have an idea. Michael explained his plan, and I decided it was time to put an end to the cycle of problems caused by Stephen and Sarah, not just for me, but to protect my son, who was starting fresh. A few days later, Stephen called, sounding upset. Hey, Mary, did you do this? You're awfully quiet now, huh? What are you talking about? I replied calmly. Don't play dumb. They're coming to our house right now. Stephen explained that 7 women had shown up at the apartment he shared with Sarah. These women were Stephen's other affairs. Yes, he had been cheating on Sarah with 7 different women. Sarah had no idea about Stephen's infidelities, and when the women began shouting and fighting, Stephen became furious and lashed out at Sarah. Meanwhile, Sarah packed her belongings, and a massive argument erupted. I knew it was you, Stephen yelled. How did you even find out about this? Who knows? I said calmly, but you left me 10 years ago. Stephen, remember that. Stephen, in a rage, hurled curses at me over the phone. I wasn't bothered. Ignoring his tantrum, I said my final words. Goodbye, Stephen. Don't ever show your face to me or our son again. Then I hung up. The chaos Stephen described was all part of Michael's plan. After Stephen and Sarah had banged on Michael's door, he hired a private detective to investigate them. The detective discovered Stephen's 7 mistresses, and that 3 of them were married. Michael shared the information with me, along with Stephen and Sarah's address. Together, we let the 7 women know where to find them, sending all of them to the apartment at once. The scene became so chaotic that the police were called to break it up. Afterward, Sarah broke up with Stephen for good. Stephen was also sued by 3 of the married women's husbands for alimony, amounts that totaled over 6 figures. Stephen lost Sarah, his money, and his home. Now, he's homeless and was last seen by a former coworker at a soup kitchen. Sarah didn't fare much better. Like Stephen, she was ordered to pay alimony in the same 6-figure range. to cover her expenses. She borrowed money from a shady loan company. Shortly after, men in black suits came for her, and she was taken away. No one knows what happened to her. With this, I closed the chapter on Stephen and Sarah, finally returning to a peaceful life. I remain single, but I'm content. My teaching job and the joy of working with students bring me all the happiness I need. Michael has also moved on. He's now dating a wonderful woman with a child, and they're planning a future together. I truly hope he finds the happiness he deserves.
The roses were wrong. That should have been my first warning. Their scent too sweet, too cloying, like perfume masking decay. But I was floating in that dreamy pre-wedding haze where everything feels symbolic and meaningful, even the way the morning light caught my engagement ring and scattered tiny rainbows across the dressing room wall. "You look perfect, Solstice," Ava whispered, adjusting my veil with trembling fingers. Her voice had an odd catch to it, but I chalked it up to emotion. That's what best friends do at weddings, right? They cry and fuss and make everything feel more momentous. I smoothed down the front of my dress, the silk cool against my palms. 6 months of planning had led to this moment. 6 months of Mark's gentle teasing about my spreadsheets and timelines, his blue eyes crinkling at the corners as he called me his beautiful control freak. The door burst open and my sister Ava tumbled in, already dabbing at her eyes. The flowers are all set up, the string quartet is tuning, and, oh my God, look at you. She wrapped me in a careful hug, mindful of my hair and makeup. Mark's not going to know what hit him. If only she knew how prophetic those words would turn out to be. The ceremony started exactly on schedule naturally. I'd timed it down to the minute. The late October sun streamed through stained glass, painting everything in jewel tones. Mark waited at the altar, looking devastating in his tux, and for a moment my heart actually skipped. This was it. This was my happily ever after, my proof that love could last, that not everyone was like my father. I should have known better. I made it through most of my vows, voice steady despite the emotion threatening to choke me. Mark's eyes never left mine as he promised to love, honor, cherish. His words were perfect, practiced. The minister had just asked if anyone had cause to object when the chapel doors slammed open. "I object." The voice rang out clear and cold as winter. A woman in a red dress stood in the doorway, silhouetted against the autumn afternoon. "I object because the groom is still legally married." To me, the silence that followed was absolute. I turned to Mark, waiting for him to laugh, to explain that this was some horrible mistake. But his face had gone slack with shock, then tight with guilt. In that moment, I knew. My stomach dropped as if I'd missed a step in the dark. "Savannah," he breathed, and that single word, that name I'd never heard before, contained volumes of history and secrets. The woman, Savannah, strode down the aisle, her heels clicking against marble like gunshots. "Did you really think I wouldn't find out? That you could just start over with your pretty new bride while our divorce was still pending?" Murmurs rippled through the guests. I felt their stares like physical touches, their pity and horror pressing against my skin. My vision tunneled until all I could see was Mark's face, watching him struggle to find words. "I can explain," he started, reaching for my hand. I jerked away. "Don't." My voice came out surprisingly steady. "Don't touch me." From the corner of my eye, I saw Ava shift uncomfortably, her hands twisting the bouquet she held. Something about her posture, her careful stillness, sent a second wave of nausea through me. She knew, my best friend, my maid of honor. She'd known. The realization hit me like a physical blow, but I refused to crumple, refused to give them the satisfaction of seeing me break. Instead, I felt something crystallize inside me, hard and sharp and cold. I turned to face our guests, my smile as brittle as frozen glass. "I'm so sorry, everyone. It seems there's been a terrible mistake. Please enjoy the reception. The food and wine are already paid for. Consider it a very expensive party." Scattered, nervous laughter. More whispers. I walked down the aisle with my head high, past Savannah with her triumphant smirk, past the shocked faces of friends and family. My heels clicked against marble in perfect rhythm, counting down steps to freedom. It wasn't until I reached the chapel doors that I allowed myself one glance back. Mark stood frozen at the altar, mouth still working silently. Ava wouldn't meet my eyes. And there in the front row, my father watched with an expression I recognized all too well, the same look he'd worn when my mother discovered his affairs. I pushed through the heavy doors into autumn sunshine that suddenly felt too bright, too harsh. My carefully constructed future lay in ruins behind me, but something else was rising from the ashes, something that tasted like rage and promise and possibility. They thought they knew me, sweet, organized solstice who always colored inside the lines. They had no idea what I was capable of, but they were about to find out. I smiled, and this time there was nothing brittle about it. The October wind bit through my wedding dress as I stood on the hotel balcony, watching guests trickle out of the reception I'd never attended. My phone buzzed constantly. Messages from Ava, from Christian, from what felt like everyone except the two people I most wanted to hear from. And wasn't that telling? I'd been up here for hours, letting the cold numb everything until my thoughts finally started making sense. The sun had set, leaving me in twilight, surrounded by the potted mums I'd chosen to match our autumn theme. Everything perfectly coordinated, perfectly planned. What a joke. The sliding door whispered open behind me. "Saul," Ava's voice tentative. "You're going to freeze out here." I didn't turn around. "How long did you know?" Silence stretched between us, thick with unspoken things. Finally, she sighed. "I found out 3 weeks ago. I wanted to tell you, but 3 weeks." The words came out sharp as icicles. 3 weeks of dress fittings and flower arrangements, and you just, what? Decided to let me walk down that aisle anyway? It wasn't that simple. She moved closer, and I could smell her perfume, the same scent she'd worn since college, when we'd shared everything. Mark came to me when Savannah first contacted him. He said he was handling it, that the divorce would be finalized before the wedding. He seemed so sincere, Saul. And then, when things got complicated, my laugh sounded foreign to my own ears. "Let me guess, he convinced you it would hurt me more to know, that it was kinder to keep me in the dark." Something like that. Her voice had gone small. He can be very persuasive when he wants to be. I finally turned to face her. Ava stood huddled in her bridesmaid's dress, mascara smudged beneath her eyes. For a moment, I saw us as we used to be. Two girls sharing secrets and dreams, swearing nothing would ever come between us. The memory made what I had to say next harder. "Did you sleep with him?" She flinched as if I'd slapped her. "What? No. God's soul, I would never. But you knew he was sleeping with someone else, besides Savannah." The way she froze told me everything. "How did you—" The bartender at the rehearsal dinner, the one who kept giving me these pitying looks. She pulled me aside earlier. Apparently Mark's been bringing different women there for months. She recognized him from the engagement photos I'd posted everywhere. Ava pressed her hands to her face. "I'm so sorry. I should have..." "Should have what? Been my friend? Told me the truth? Protected me from making the biggest mistake of my life?" Each question landed like a blow. "Instead, you helped him, covered for him. God, all those times you encouraged me to trust the process when I worried about wedding details. You were just buying him time, weren't you?" "I thought I was helping." She reached for my arm, but I stepped back. You were so happy, so excited about the wedding. And after everything with your dad, I couldn't be the one to ruin that for you." The mention of my father cracked something open inside me. You know what the worst part is? When I saw Savannah standing there in the chapel, my first thought wasn't even about Mark. It was wondering if you knew, if my best friend had betrayed me too. "Sul, please, don't." I moved past her toward the door, then paused. You know what's funny? All those years watching my mom try to forgive my dad, I swore I'd never be that person. Never be the one who didn't see it coming. Turns out I was right. I'm actually worse. At least she didn't have her best friend helping him lie to her. I stepped inside, leaving Ava on the balcony. The hotel room was a mess of wedding preparations. My overnight bag, makeup scattered across the vanity, the wedding planner I'd filled with color-coded tabs and detailed timelines. A life I'd planned down to the minute, built on foundations of sand. My phone buzzed again. A text from Braxton, my coworker. "Just heard. Need anything?" Below it was a message from Mark. "Please let me explain. Meet me at our spot tomorrow." I stared at the screen until the words blurred. The smart thing would be to walk away. Delete their numbers, change my locks, start fresh. That's what my therapist June would advise. She'd been warning me about my trust issues for months. But as I stood there, surrounded by the wreckage of my almost marriage, a different path started taking shape. One that would require precision planning, careful manipulation, and a complete willingness to burn everything to the ground. I picked up my wedding planner and opened to a blank page. Time to start a new list. The coffee shop's morning rush swirled around me as I traced my finger along the rim of my third espresso. My laptop screen glowed with open tabs. Mark's social media, his company's website, every digital breadcrumb I could follow. Amazing how much of your life ends up online when you're not expecting anyone to look too closely. "Mind if I join you?" I looked up to find Braxton holding his own coffee, expression carefully neutral. Of course he'd know I'd be here. It was 2 blocks from our office, and I was supposed to be on my honeymoon. The empty chair across from me seemed to mock us both. "Sure," I said, closing my laptop. "Though I should warn you, I'm apparently toxic right now. Eva told me half the office is taking sides." He settled into the chair, pushing a paper bag toward me. "Blueberry scone, and the office isn't taking sides. They're just processing." Like how Mark's assistant processed right out of her job this morning. The news had hit my inbox an hour ago. Her resignation effective immediately. Another piece of the puzzle clicking into place. Braxton's eyes narrowed slightly. "How did you know about that?" "I have my sources." I didn't mention that those sources included the IT guy who owed me a favor, or the encrypted emails I'd found. Same way I know about the missing client funds Mark's been trying to cover up. "Solstice?" Braxton's voice dropped lower. "Whatever you're thinking of doing, I'm not thinking of doing anything." I took a deliberate sip of coffee. "I'm just gathering information. Like how Mark's been embezzling money through fake vendor accounts. Or how Ava helped him doctor the books when she did our company's audit last quarter." The color drained from Braxton's face. "How long have you known?" "About the embezzlement? Since this morning? About Ava's involvement?" I smiled, and it felt like breaking glass. "That's brand new, thanks to your reaction just now." He ran a hand through his hair, shoulders slumping. "Look, I only suspected something was off with the numbers. I never had proof, and by the time I started putting pieces together, you were already engaged. And you didn't want to be the bearer of bad news?" The bitter taste in my mouth had nothing to do with coffee. "You know, I'm getting really tired of people making decisions about what I can't handle." "That's not fair." "No." I pulled out my phone, scrolling to the photos I'd found buried in Mark's cloud storage. These are from his trip to Aspen 3 months ago. Funny how he told me it was a business retreat, but all the pictures are him and his assistant looking very unbusinesslike. Braxton's expression shifted from defensive to concerned. Sol, what exactly are you planning to do with all this? Nothing illegal. I started gathering my things, just making sure I understand exactly what kind of man I almost married and exactly who helped him fool me. Wait. His hand caught my wrist as I stood. I know you're hurt. You have every right to be, but revenge won't make it better. I looked down at where his fingers pressed against my pulse point, remembering how many times we'd worked late together, how many coffee runs and shared lunches, how many opportunities he'd had to warn me. You know what's interesting? I kept my voice light. Everyone keeps telling me how I feel, what I should do, what's best for me, but nobody's asked what I want. Okay. He released my wrist, sat back. What do you want, Solstice? The question hit harder than I expected. What did I want? To hurt them like they hurt me? To expose every lie, every betrayal? To prove I wasn't as naive as they all thought? I want the truth, I finally said. All of it. And then I want everyone involved to face consequences for their choices, including me. Including you? I ignored red flags, dismissed warnings, chose comfortable lies over uncomfortable questions. I shouldered my bag. But at least I can own my mistakes. Can they say the same? He was quiet for a long moment. The assistant, Rachel, she didn't quit. She's going to the FBI with evidence. My heart stuttered. How do you know? Because I helped her gather it. He pulled out a USB drive, set it on the table between us. Everything's here. The fake accounts, the wire transfers, the altered records. She's meeting with them tomorrow morning. I stared at the tiny device that could destroy everything. Why are you telling me this? Because you deserve to know the whole truth. And because whatever you decide to do next, he stood, meeting my eyes steadily. I want you to understand exactly what you're walking into. I picked up the drive, its weight insignificant compared to the choices it represented. The cafe's warmth suddenly felt stifling. Thank you, I said, and meant it, for finally letting me decide for myself. I left him there, mind already racing with possibilities. The game had changed, but maybe that's exactly what I needed. Savannah's house was exactly what I'd expected. Modern, minimalist, expensive, the kind of place that screamed successful lawyer without saying a word. What I hadn't expected was her opening the door with red-rimmed eyes and a half-empty wine glass. You've got nerve showing up here, she said, but stepped aside to let me in. I moved past her into a living room bathed in afternoon light. No wedding photos, I noticed. No evidence Mark had ever lived here. Just clean lines and abstract art that probably cost more than my car. I brought something you might want to see. I pulled out the USB drive, set it on her glass coffee table. Though I'm guessing you already know about the embezzlement. She went very still. How did you? The same way I found out about the pregnancy. The wine glass slipped from her fingers, shattering on the hardwood. Red liquid spread like blood between us. He told you? He didn't have to. I kept my voice steady despite my racing heart. Your medical records were in his email, along with the messages about the procedure he insisted you get 2 months ago. Savannah sank onto the couch, hands trembling. I never wanted. He said it would ruin everything, that the timing was wrong. The timing? I couldn't help the bitter laugh. You mean because he was planning to marry me? No. She looked up, eyes sharp despite the wine. Because the FBI was closing in. A baby would have complicated his exit strategy. The pieces clicked together with sickening clarity. The wedding was his alibi, a respectable new wife, a fresh start, a way to look innocent when everything fell apart. And I was the loose end he needed to tie up. She gestured at the USB drive. What's on that? Everything. Account numbers, transfer records, emails. Enough to bury him. Your name's all over it, too. Fear flickered across her face. I never touched the money. Any paperwork with my signature was forged. I know. I sat across from her, careful to avoid the spreading wine stain. That's why I'm here. The FBI is moving tomorrow morning. You need to get ahead of it. Why are you helping me? Suspicion crept into her voice. I ruined your wedding. No, you saved me from making the biggest mistake of my life. And now? I met her gaze steadily. Now I want to return the favor. She studied me for a long moment. There's more. What aren't you telling me? Ava, my former maid of honor. She's involved. She helped cover up the embezzlement during audits, and I swallowed hard. I think she and Mark were planning something bigger, something that would have left us both taking the fall. Savannah reached for the USB drive, turning it over in her hands. You know, when I first found out about you, I hated you. Thought you were just another foolish woman he'd charmed. But you're not what I expected. Neither are you. I stood, stepping carefully around the spilled wine. The FBI agent's name is Torres. Tell him everything. And Savannah, I'm sorry about the baby. Her laugh was hollow. Me too. Though maybe it's better this way. One less person for Mark to destroy. I was almost to the door when she called after me. What are you going to do now? Now? I thought of the second copy of the USB drive in my bag, of the carefully worded emails I'd sent that morning. Now I'm going to make sure everyone pays for their choices, including Mark. Be careful, she warned. He's more dangerous than you know. So am I. Outside, the autumn air felt cleaner somehow. My phone buzzed, a text from Ava asking if I was okay. Below it was a message from June reminding me about our appointment tomorrow. And there, at the bottom, was Mark. Missing you. Can we talk? I typed out a response before I could second-guess myself. Actually, yes. Let's meet tomorrow. There's something I need to tell you. His reply came instantly. Our usual spot? Noon? Perfect, I wrote back, then added, I think it's time we were honest with each other. The irony of those words made me smile as I walked to my car. In my bag, the second USB drive felt like a live wire, crackling with potential energy. Tomorrow, Mark would learn exactly how honest I could be. My phone buzzed again. Braxton this time. Rachel just finished her FBI interview. You sure about this? I thought of Savannah's trembling hands, of Ava's betrayal, of all the women Mark had used and discarded. Absolutely sure, I replied. Everything's going according to plan. But as I drove home, Savannah's warning echoed in my head. Mark was dangerous. The question was, had I finally become dangerous enough to match him? June's office always smelled like lavender and old books, a combination that usually calmed me. Today, it just made my stomach churn as I perched on the familiar leather couch, watching her read through the printouts I'd brought. She paused, adjusting her glasses. This is quite extensive, Solstice. I've been busy. I picked at a loose thread on my sleeve. Turns out insomnia is great for investigative work. I can see that. She set the papers aside, fixing me with that steady gaze I'd come to both appreciate and dread. What concerns me is how much energy you're putting into this revenge plan instead of processing your trauma. I am processing it. I gestured at the papers. By doing something about it. Are you? Because from where I'm sitting, it looks like you're avoiding the pain by focusing on action. On control. The word hit like a slap. Control. Wasn't that what had gotten me into this mess? My desperate need to believe I could manage everything, predict everything, protect myself from exactly this kind of betrayal? Maybe I'm tired of being the one who gets hurt, I said finally. Maybe I want them to understand what it feels like. And what about what it feels like for you, right now? She leaned forward slightly. When was the last time you actually let yourself feel the grief of what happened? My phone buzzed. Another message from Mark about our upcoming meeting. I ignored it, but June noticed. Still in contact with him? It's necessary for the plan. Is it? Or is it a way to maintain connection, even a painful one? I stood abruptly, moving to the window. Outside, leaves skittered across the parking lot, red and gold and dying. You don't understand. This isn't just about the wedding anymore. Mark and Ava, they've hurt other people. They're still hurting people. Someone has to stop them. And that someone has to be you? Yes. The force of my own response startled me, because everyone else who knew just stood by and watched. They all had their reasons, their excuses, but they watched him destroy lives and did nothing. Like your mother's friends did with your father? The parallel hit hard enough to make me grip the windowsill. That's different. Is it? Her voice was gentle. Or are you trying to fight a battle you couldn't win as a child? Before I could respond, my phone buzzed again. This time, it was Braxton. Emergency. Mark knows about Rachel's FBI interview. He's cleaning out accounts now. My hands started shaking. I have to go. Solstice? No, I really have to go. Right now. I grabbed my bag, already pulling up my banking app. Mark's making his move early. June stood, concern etching her features. Whatever you're planning, please be careful. Revenge might feel like justice, but it can consume you if you're not careful. I paused at the door, thinking of the elaborate trap I'd set, of all the carefully placed pieces ready to fall. What if I'm already consumed? Then ask yourself what's left when the fire burns out. She moved to her desk, wrote something quickly. This is my personal number. Call me anytime. Promise me. I took the paper, folded it carefully into my wallet. I promise. And June, thank you for everything. Outside, my phone exploded with notifications. Braxton had sent screenshots of account transfers. Eva was calling. Even Ava had texted. We need to talk. It's urgent. I got in my car, hands steady now, as I pulled up Mark's contact. His smiling profile picture stared back at me. The same one from our engagement photos. The same lie. Change of plans, I typed. Meet me now, usual spot. His response came instantly. Can't. Dealing with work emergency. I know about the accounts, Mark. All of them. Meet me now or I call the FBI myself. 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. Finally, 30 minutes. I started the car, mind racing. Everything was accelerating, spinning faster than I'd planned. June's words echoed in my head. What's left when the fire burns out? My phone buzzed one more time. Savannah. Be careful. He's cornered now. That makes him dangerous. I looked at myself in the rearview mirror, barely recognizing the woman who stared back. Her eyes were harder, her smile sharper. She looked dangerous, too. I know, I texted back. Then I pulled out into traffic, heading toward the coffee shop where Mark had proposed, where he'd first woven his web of lies, where in 30 minutes everything would either fall into place or fall apart completely. Either way, there was no turning back now. The coffee shop windows reflected twin versions of reality. The warm interior where Mark waited, and the gray storm clouds gathering outside. I stood in the space between, watching him check his phone every 30 seconds, his usual composure cracking around the edges. Thunder rumbled as I pushed open the door. The same barista who'd warned me about Mark's infidelity gave me a concerned look, but I kept walking. Mark's head snapped up, relief washing over his features before he caught himself. Solstice. He stood, pulling out a chair. Always the gentleman, even now. I was worried you. Save it. I sat across from him, placing my phone on the table, recording app running. Where's the money, Mark? His smile flickered. What money? The client accounts, the ones you've been draining all morning. I pulled out printed screenshots, spread them across the table. Or should we talk about Rachel's FBI interview first? The color drained from his face. You don't understand? Actually, I do. Better than you think. I leaned forward. What I don't understand is why Ava's name is on half these transfers. Something shifted in his expression. Surprise, then calculation. Ava? No, she just did the audits. She wouldn't. My laugh felt like broken glass. Still lying? Even now? I pulled up the email chain on my phone, turned it toward him. She's been helping you move money for months. The only question is whether she was playing you or you were playing her. Before he could respond, the door chimed. Ava walked in, freezing when she saw us. Her mascara was smudged, hair wild like she'd been running her hands through it. Don't stop on my account, I said, gesturing to the empty chair. Join us. We were just discussing your extracurricular activities. She sat slowly, eyes darting between us. Mark, what did you tell her? Nothing yet. I answered for him, but he was about to explain why you both thought I'd make the perfect fall guy for your little scheme. Thunder cracked closer, making the windows rattle. Mark's hands clenched around his untouched coffee. It wasn't like that, Ava whispered. We never meant to get caught, I finished. Yeah, that part's clear. What I can't figure out is whether you were working together the whole time or if this is just a spectacular coincidence. They exchanged a look that told me everything. How long? My voice came out steadier than I felt. 6 months, Ava said, just as Mark said. A year. Another crack in their united front. Interesting. The wedding was your idea, wasn't it? I asked Mark. Perfect cover story. Perfect alibi. Perfect way to make me look complicit when it all fell apart. I loved you, he protested. That part was real. Was it? Or did you just love how convenient I was? I pulled out one final paper, a bank statement with a very specific transfer highlighted, because this payment to Ava the day after our engagement suggests otherwise. Ava's sharp intake of breath was almost drowned out by the rain now pounding against the windows. Mark's face had gone completely still. You weren't supposed to find that, he said quietly. I wasn't supposed to find a lot of things. I stood, gathering the papers. The FBI will be interested in all of it, though, especially the offshore accounts. Wait, Ava grabbed my arm. Please, I can explain everything. Can you explain why my best friend helped orchestrate my humiliation? Why she took money to watch me walk into a trap? I jerked away from her grip. Save your explanations for your lawyer. You don't want to do this. Mark's voice had dropped to that dangerous register I'd never heard before our wedding day. Think about what you're risking. I have. I picked up my phone, stopped the recording. That's why I already sent copies of everything to Agent Torres this morning, and to every board member at your firm, and to that reporter who's been investigating financial fraud cases. The look that passed between them was pure panic now. Outside, lightning split the sky. You're bluffing, Mark said, but his voice shook. Am I? Check your email. Should be hitting inboxes right about. I glanced at my watch. Now. Their phones buzzed simultaneously. I watched their faces as they read, as they realized exactly how thoroughly I'd destroyed them. Why? Ava's voice cracked. Why not just turn us in? Why all this? Because I needed to see it, to see you both try to lie your way out one last time. I turned toward the door, then paused. Oh, and Mark? Savannah says hello. I walked out into the storm, letting the rain wash away the last traces of who I used to be. Behind me, through the window, I could see them frantically typing on their phones, making calls that wouldn't save them. My own phone buzzed. Braxton. FBI just arrived at the office. You okay? I watched lightning fracture the sky again and smiled. I will be. The storm chased me all the way to the office, where red and blue lights strobed against rain-slicked windows. I sat in my car, watching FBI agents escort people out under black umbrellas. Mark emerged in handcuffs, head high despite the circumstances, always performing, even now. My phone lit up with Eva's face. "Where are you?" she demanded when I answered. "Everyone's saying." "I know what they're saying." I watched Ava being led out next, mascara running down her cheeks. "Is Braxton still there?" "Yeah, he's talking to the agents." "Saul, what did you do?" "What needed to be done?" I hung up, stepping out into the rain. The wind whipped my hair around my face as I walked toward the building's entrance. Agent Torres met me at the door, his badge gleaming under fluorescent lights. "Ms. Walker, we need to ask you some questions." "I assumed you would." I followed him inside, past shocked colleagues and whispered conversations. My heels clicked against marble floors, echoing like heartbeats. They'd set up in the conference room, the same one where I'd first met Mark 3 years ago. He sat at the far end now, hands cuffed in front of him, Ava beside him looking small and scared. Their lawyers hadn't arrived yet. Solstice? Mark's voice carried that familiar warmth, like he could still charm his way out of this. "You don't have to do this." "Actually, I do." I sat across from them, placing my phone and a small notebook on the table. "But first, I want you both to know something." Ava wouldn't meet my eyes. "Sol, please. I want you to know that I understand." I opened the notebook, my wedding planner, repurposed for a different kind of orchestration. "I understand why you did it, the thrill of taking what you wanted, of thinking you were smarter than everyone else, of feeling powerful instead of afraid." Mark's smile faltered. "You don't know what you're talking about." "Don't I?" I turned to Agent Torres. "Did you find the second set of accounts? The ones under his mother's maiden name?" Mark's face went slack. Beside him, Ava made a small, wounded sound. "You said those were just for tax purposes," she whispered. "You said I wouldn't be implicated." "He lied, Ava. That's what he does." I met her eyes finally. "The question is, are you going to keep protecting him?" The conference room fell silent except for the storm raging outside. I could see the moment Ava's loyalty shattered, could practically hear it breaking. "The Cayman accounts," she said quietly. "Those weren't my idea. And the wedding?" She turned to Mark, voice strengthening. "Tell her about the wedding, about what you really planned." Mark lunged across the table, but the handcuffs caught him short. "Shut up." "He was going to frame you for everything," Ava rushed out. "After the honeymoon, he was going to transfer the missing money into your accounts, make it look like you'd been stealing for years. I helped him set it up. I'm so sorry, Saul. I'm so sorry." Agent Torres signaled, and 2 other agents moved to separate them. Mark's face had transformed into something ugly, unfamiliar. "You think this makes you clever?" he snarled at me. "You think you've won? I built this whole thing. Everything you know about finance, about business, I taught you. You're nothing without me." Lightning flashed, throwing harsh shadows across his features. In that moment, I saw my father in him, the same entitled rage, the same inability to accept consequences. "You're wrong." I stood, gathering my things. "I learned everything I needed to know from watching you underestimate me." I turned to Agent Torres. "The notebook has everything: dates, accounts, conversations, and my phone has recordings of both of them admitting involvement. I assume that's enough?" He nodded, already reaching for the evidence. "More than enough. We'll need you to make a formal statement." "Of course." I moved toward the door, then paused. "Oh, and Mark, Savannah's testimony should be interesting, especially the part about the baby. The sound he made was barely human. Ava's eyes went wide with fresh horror. Outside the conference room, Braxton waited. "You okay?" "No." I watched agents lead Mark and Ava in separate directions, their lawyers finally arriving too late to help. "But I will be." "Was it worth it?" he asked quietly. "Getting justice?" I thought about June's warning about revenge consuming me, about the cost of fighting fire with fire, but I also thought about every woman Mark had hurt, about every lie Ava had helped him tell. "It wasn't about justice," I said finally. "It was about making sure they couldn't do this to anyone else." The storm was passing now, late afternoon sun breaking through clouds. In its light, I could almost see the shape of who I might become. Someone stronger, yes, but also someone who understood the difference between vengeance and protection. "Come on," Braxton said gently. "Let's get out of here." I followed him out, leaving behind the ruins of my old life and the architects of its destruction. Sometimes, I was learning, you have to burn everything down to build something true. The autumn wind scattered leaves across my father's gravestone as I placed the newspaper clipping against the marble. The headline was small, just a few lines about Mark's guilty plea and the restitution ordered, but it felt monumental seeing it in print. "I thought I'd find you here." Ava's voice carried across the cemetery. She picked her way between headstones, coffee cups in hand. "You okay?" "Better than okay." I accepted the coffee, letting its warmth seep into my fingers. "Did you see Ava's sentencing got moved up?" "Yeah, Christian told me she's cooperating fully now." She settled beside me on the cold ground. "You never told me why you chose today to come here." I traced our father's name with my free hand. "Because I finally understand something he never did, about choices, about consequences, and about running away." The gentleness in her voice nearly undid me. "That too." I took a sip of coffee, letting memories surface. Remember how he always had explanations, excuses, how nothing was ever really his fault? Like father, like former fiancé. Exactly. I pulled out June's latest letter from my pocket. She still wrote them weekly, even though I'd stopped needing therapy sessions. She says I've been fighting him all along, through Mark, through Ava, through everyone who thought they could write my story for me. Ava leaned against my shoulder. "And now?" "Now I'm writing my own." I stood, brushing leaves from my clothes. "Speaking of which, have you checked your email today?" She pulled out her phone, brow furrowing as she read. "You're starting a consulting firm for fraud prevention?" "With Braxton and Savannah." I couldn't help smiling at her surprise. Turns out dismantling a complex financial fraud scheme looks pretty good on a resume. We've already got 3 clients lined up. "Soul, that's..." She stopped, looking past me. "Is that who I think it is?" I turned to see Ava standing at the cemetery entrance, uncertainty written across her face. She looked smaller somehow, without her designer clothes and careful makeup. "I asked her to come." I said quietly. "There's something she needs to hear." Eva squeezed my hand before walking away, leaving me to face the ghost of my former best friend. Ava approached slowly, like she expected me to change my mind. "I got your message," she said when she reached me. "About wanting closure." "Not closure." I gestured to our father's grave. "Understanding." She read the headstone, realization dawning. "The man who taught you about betrayal. And about forgiveness." I met her eyes steadily. "Not the kind that forgets or excuses, the kind that sets you free." "I don't deserve..." "This isn't about what you deserve." I cut her off. "It's about who I choose to be, and I choose not to carry the weight of hating you anymore." Tears spilled down her cheeks. "I've thought about it every day, how I could have stopped him, warned you, how I let him convince me that hurting you was somehow protecting you. I know. I pulled out an envelope, held it out. That's why I brought you this. Her hands shook as she opened it. A character reference for my sentencing? You did wrong things for complicated reasons, just like he did. I nodded toward the grave. The difference is you owned it. You chose to make it right. Not soon enough. No, but you chose. I stepped back, feeling lighter somehow. That's the thing about choices, Ava. We keep getting to make new ones. She clutched the letter like a lifeline. I don't know how to start over. Yes, you do. I turned to leave, then paused. By the way, when you get out, come find me. The firm could use someone who knows exactly how these schemes work. I walked away before she could respond, joining Eva by the car. The late afternoon sun painted everything in amber light, making even the cemetery look hopeful. You're really offering her a job? Eva asked as we drove away. After everything? I watched the cemetery recede in the mirror, thinking about choices and consequences and the stories we tell ourselves about both. You know what I learned from all this? I said finally. The opposite of betrayal isn't revenge. It's creating something new from the ashes of what burned. Ava smiled, understanding dawning. And that's what you're building? Something new? Something true, I corrected, feeling the future unfold before us like an open road. Something entirely my own.
The birthday cake sits on our dining room table like a bomb waiting to detonate. 5 perfect candles, their flames dancing in the August heat, while my daughter Hope bounces on her tiptoes beside me, pure joy radiating from her face. I should have known better. Should have seen it coming in Nancy's razor-sharp smile when she insisted on handling the cake herself. Make a wish, sweetheart, I say, squeezing Hope's shoulders. My baby girl, my reason for everything, takes a deep breath that puffs out her cheeks. That's when Nancy's perfectly manicured finger traces the cake's inscription. Happy birthday to Mommy's little mistake. She reads aloud, her voice dripping with false innocence. Oh dear, there must have been a mix-up at the bakery. The room goes silent. I feel the blood drain from my face as Hope's tiny body stiffens under my hands. My mother Margaret's theatrical gasp doesn't quite hide her smirk. The family gathering suddenly feels like a nest of vipers, all eyes fixed on us, waiting for the venom to take effect. Mommy? Hope's voice quivers. What does that mean? I want to scream. Want to grab that cake and smash it into Nancy's perfectly made-up face. Instead, I hear myself say with forced lightness, "It's just a silly mistake, baby. Let's scrape off the frosting and—" But it's true, isn't it, Sadie? Nancy cuts in. That's what you told Mom when you got knocked up. It was a mistake. Remember? The memory hits like a physical blow. Me at 27, terrified and alone, confiding in my family only to have those vulnerable words twisted into weapons 5 years later. I see Raphael, my only real friend here, step forward with anger in his eyes, but I shake my head slightly. Not now. Not in front of Hope. Time for presents, I announce too brightly, steering Hope away from the cake. My daughter's shoulders are slumped now, her earlier excitement deflated. I catch Erin's sympathetic glance from across the room, but she quickly looks away. No one in this family has ever had the courage to stand up to Nancy or my mother. The present opening is a blur. I'm operating on autopilot, making appropriate noises as Hope unwraps each gift. Nancy outdid herself there too. A doctor's kit with a note saying, "Since your mom couldn't afford medical school." A children's etiquette book to help you overcome your circumstances. Each one a carefully crafted barb wrapped in bright paper and bows. Quite thoughtful of you, Nancy, my mother says, patting her favorite daughter's hand. Someone needs to think about that child's future. I feel something snap inside me. Not the usual hurt that makes me shrink and accept. This is different. Harder. Colder. I watch Hope struggling to maintain her smile. This beautiful, brilliant child they're trying to diminish. And something crystallizes in my chest. Hope, sweetie, I say, my voice steady now. Why don't you show Cousin Erin your new toys upstairs? Once they're gone, I turn to Nancy. My sister's smile falters slightly at whatever she sees in my expression. You must be so proud, I say softly. Planning all this just to hurt a 5-year-old child. Oh, please, Nancy scoffs, but there's a flicker of uncertainty in her eyes. It was just a joke. You've always been too sensitive. Sadie, my mother warns, don't make a scene. I laugh then, a sound that startles even me. A scene? You mean like deliberately humiliating my daughter at her own birthday party? That kind of scene? Well, if you'd made better choices, Nancy begins, but I cut her off. You know what's funny? I step closer, my voice dropping to a whisper. I've spent years letting you make me feel small, letting you hurt me. But watching you try to do the same thing to Hope? I smile, and Nancy actually takes a step back. That was a mistake. The word hangs between us, its meaning transformed. In the silence that follows, I hear Hope's laughter floating down from upstairs. Still pure, still unbroken despite their best efforts. I turn away from my sister's suddenly wary face and begin methodically cleaning up the party debris, my mind already racing ahead. They think they know me. Think I'm still the same scared girl who'll absorb their cruelty and come crawling back for more. But they've finally gone too far. As I wrap up the remains of that hateful cake, I catch Raphael's eye across the room. He nods slightly, understanding written all over his face. They want to talk about mistakes? Fine. I'll show them what a real mistake looks like. The birthday party aftermath feels like a hangover, but instead of nursing a headache, I'm going through bank statements at 2 a.m. My hands shake as I scroll through 5 years of transactions, each one a fresh betrayal. The numbers blur together until Raphael's text jolts me back to focus. You okay? That party was brutal. I stare at the screen, the truth I've uncovered burning in my chest. Need to show you something. Tomorrow? His response is immediate. Your usual coffee spot. 8 a.m. Hope's sleeping peacefully when I check on her, clutching the teddy bear Raphael gave her, the only genuine gift from the party. I brush her hair back, my throat tight. She deserves so much better than what they tried to make her believe. The next morning, I spread the bank statements across the coffee shop table while Raphael watches, his expression darkening. They've been stealing from Hope's college fund, I say, my voice barely controlled. Every month, small withdrawals. My mother convinced me to make her a co-signer just in case something happened to me. Said it was responsible parenting. Raphael's hands clench around his coffee cup. How much? Almost $40,000. The number still makes me sick. Nancy's name is all over these transfers. Her stupid designer handbags, her vacation to Bali. She's been using my daughter's future as her personal ATM. Jesus, Sadie. He leans back, running a hand through his hair. Have you confronted them? I laugh bitterly. You saw how well confrontation worked at the party. Besides, my mother's got it all wrapped up in legal paperwork. She made sure of that. There has to be something. Oh, there is. I pull out my phone, showing him the email I found. Nancy's been embezzling from her company. Small amounts, just like with Hope's account. She thinks she's clever, but she got sloppy. Left a paper trail a mile wide. Raphael's eyes widen. How did you get this? Remember Nelson from IT at her office? Turns out he's had a crush on me since high school. Amazing what people will share over drinks. Sadie. Raphael's voice carries a warning note. I know what you're thinking. But they crossed a line. That cake? That was just the final insult. They've been stealing my daughter's future right out from under me, laughing about it probably. My voice cracks. Every time Nancy showed up with some new luxury purchase, every time my mother lectured me about financial responsibility, they were using Hope's money. What are you planning? I meet his eyes steadily. Nothing they haven't earned. He's quiet for a long moment, studying me. Finally, he sighs. Just be careful. Don't do anything that could blow back on Hope. That's exactly why I have to do something. They're never going to stop unless... My phone buzzes with a text from Aaron. Need to talk. Important. I have to go, I say, gathering the papers. Thanks for listening. Sadie. Raphael catches my arm. Whatever you're thinking of doing, make sure it's really about protecting Hope, not just revenge. His words follow me to Erin's house, where my cousin paces her living room like a caged animal. I should have told you years ago, she blurts out as soon as I sit down. About Nancy and your mother, about what they've been doing. My heart pounds. What do you mean? It's not just Hope's account. Erin won't meet my eyes. They've done this before, to others in the family. Always perfectly legal on paper, always with some excuse about protecting assets or responsible management. Your Aunt Claire's inheritance, my college fund. She swallows hard. I was too scared to say anything. They have dirt on everyone. The pieces click into place. The way certain relatives stopped coming to family events, the whispered conversations that stopped when I entered rooms. All this time, I thought I was their only target. Why tell me now? Because of Hope. Erin finally looks at me. That cake wasn't just cruelty. It was a message. They're setting up their next move, and your daughter's their target. My phone buzzes again. A text from my mother. Family dinner tonight. Non-negotiable. We need to discuss Hope's future. I show it to Erin, whose face goes pale. Sadie, don't go. They're planning something. But I'm already standing, a cold clarity settling over me. Oh, I'll be there. I think of the evidence safely backed up on my phone, of Nelson's promised help, of all the pieces I've been gathering. In fact, I'm counting on it. What are you going to do? I smile, and something in my expression makes Erin step back. I'm going to give them exactly what they want. A nice, intimate family dinner. Perfect opportunity to serve up some long overdue justice. The family dinner starts like a game of chess. Everyone positioning their pieces, testing defenses. I arrive exactly on time, wearing the navy dress Nancy once sneered at. My mother's lips thin at the sight of it. Good. Where's Hope? Nancy asks, false concern dripping from every word. Sleepover at her friend's house. I set down the bottle of wine I brought, my mother's favorite, the one she thinks I can't afford. Thought we adults should talk freely. My mother's dining room feels like a stage set. Crystal glasses catching the light, silver polished to mirrors. Everything perfect, everything fake. Just like them. Well, my mother says, lifting her wine glass, we need to discuss Hope's educational trust. I've been reviewing the accounts. Funny you should mention that. I pull out my phone, fingers steady despite my racing heart. I've been doing some reviewing myself. The plan is simple. Confront them with evidence of the embezzlement, watch them squirm, then propose my terms. But Nancy's next words throw me completely off balance. Oh, you mean the transfers? She smiles, all teeth. Mother already spoke to the bank. Everything's been sorted out. Just a clerical error. I blink. What? Really, Sadie? My mother sighs. Did you think we wouldn't notice your little investigation? Nancy saw you with Nelson yesterday. Quite unprofessional of him to share company information, by the way. He's been dealt with. My stomach drops. What did you do? Nothing he didn't bring on himself. Nancy examines her manicure. Though his supervisor was very interested in certain irregularities we found in his work history, the weight of my failure crashes over me. Nelson was supposed to be my ace, my way in. Now he's probably unemployed, possibly facing charges, all because I dragged him into this. You're bluffing. I manage, but my voice wavers. Check your phone, my mother suggests. Those incriminating emails you were so excited about? Gone. Amazing how efficient IT departments can be when properly motivated. My fingers fumble with the phone, but she's right. Everything I collected, every careful piece of evidence, vanished. I feel the room spinning slightly. Face it, little sister. Nancy leans forward. You're out of your league. Always have been. That money was for Hope's future, I whisper, And it still is. My mother's voice turns soothing, reasonable. We're simply ensuring it's managed properly, by people who understand finance, who can make responsible decisions. Unlike you, Nancy adds. I stand up so quickly my chair scrapes against the floor. I need some air. In the bathroom, I splash cold water on my face, trying to steady my breathing. My phone buzzes. Raphael. How's it going? I stare at my reflection, at the woman who thought she could outmaneuver them. They knew. They were always 10 steps ahead. Sadie, listen. I have to go. I hang up, gripping the sink edge until my knuckles turn white. When I return, they're discussing Hope's private school options as if nothing happened. As if they haven't just destroyed my only leverage. You'll see reason eventually, my mother says, passing the salad. We only want what's best for Hope. That's when I notice something odd. Nancy's hand trembles slightly as she reaches for her wine. My mother's smile seems fixed, artificial. They're trying too hard to appear in control. You know what's funny? I say slowly. You went to all this trouble to erase those emails, but you didn't ask what else I might have found. Nancy's fork clatters against her plate. Or who else I might have talked to. I think of Aaron's revelation, of all those disappeared relatives. It's amazing how many people are willing to share stories once someone finally starts asking questions. Enough. My mother's voice cracks like a whip. You're being ridiculous, but I see it now. The flash of fear in their eyes. They're scared, not of the evidence I gathered, but of what I might discover next, of all their careful lies unraveling. You're right, I say, standing. This dinner was a mistake, but don't worry, I won't make the same one twice. Nancy calls after me as I leave, but I don't turn back. In my car, my phone lights up with a text from Raphael. Got your backup files. All safe. Ready when you are. I smile, remembering Nancy's shaking hands, my mother's brittle control. They think they've won. Think they've scared me back into line. But they've actually given me something far more valuable than evidence. They've shown me their fear. And now I know exactly where to push. Raphael's apartment feels like a war room, with papers and laptops spread across his coffee table. 3 days since the dinner disaster, and we've been working every spare moment, mapping out connections, following money trails. Look at this, he says, pointing to his screen. Every time your mother helped manage someone's money, Nancy got a new client at her firm. Too consistent to be coincidence. I lean closer, our shoulders touching. The contact feels warm, grounding. They're working together. Mother finds the targets, Nancy handles the legal side. And everyone stays quiet because... He stops as my phone rings. Aaron's name flashes on the screen. Sadie? Her voice sounds strange. Can you come over, please? Something in her tone makes my skin prickle. I'll be there in 20. Raphael catches my arm as I stand. Be careful. After what happened with Nelson, I know. I squeeze his hand. I'll text you. Erin's house is dark except for one lamp. She's curled on her couch, looking smaller than usual. A half-empty wine bottle sits on her coffee table. They came to see me, she says before I can speak. Your mother and Nancy. They know I talked to you. My heart stutters. Did they threaten you? Not exactly. They reminded me about Michael. Your brother? What about him? Erin takes a shaking breath. Remember when he got arrested for drug possession 10 years ago? It wasn't his drugs. They were Nancy's. But she needed a clean record for her law career, so... She swallows hard. Mother made it go away. For him. But the evidence is still there, and if it ever came out... They're blackmailing you. The realization hits like ice water. Using your own brother. I'm so sorry, Sadie. I can't help you anymore. Michael's finally got his life together, has a family. Hey. I move to sit beside her, taking her trembling hands. It's okay. I understand. And I do. They've had decades to weave their web, to gather secrets and create debts. Everyone in the family is tangled in it somehow. There's something else. Aaron won't meet my eyes. Something about your father. The air leaves my lungs. What about him? Mother didn't just drive him away. She had evidence. Something that would have ruined his career, his reputation. She used it to make him sign away his parental rights. That's why he never fought for custody, never contacted you. The room spins slightly. All these years, I thought he'd simply abandoned us. Chosen his new family over me. But he was just another victim in their game. How do you know this? I overheard them talking. They're worried you'll find out, start digging. That's why they're moving so fast with Hope's trust fund. They want control before you understand too much. My phone buzzes. Raphael sending a string of urgent messages, but I can barely focus on the screen. Thank you, I tell Aaron. For telling me. For everything. What are you going to do? I stand, my mind already racing ahead. Nothing you need to worry about. The less you know, the better. Back in my car, I finally read Raphael's messages. He's found something big. Irregularities in my mother's charitable foundation, connections to offshore accounts. The evidence we needed. But I can't move. All I can think about is my father. About Hope. About how patterns repeat unless someone breaks them. Raphael answers on the first ring. Where are you? You need to see this. They did it to my father too. I cut him off. All these years I thought, God, I've been so stupid. Sadie, no, listen. I've been playing their game, thinking if I could just find enough dirt, enough leverage. But that's how they work. Secrets and shame and everyone too scared to move. What are you saying? I watch a family walking past my car, parents swinging a laughing child between them. Happy, free, everything Hope deserves. I'm saying we need to change the rules. No more secrets, no more quiet little deals. My voice hardens. We're going to drag everything into the light. All of it. That's dangerous, Raphael says quietly. Once it starts. I know, but Hope deserves better than growing up in their shadow. Better than wondering why her family is full of whispers and lies. I start the car. I'm coming over. We have work to do. Sadie? His voice stops me. Whatever you decide, I'm with you. Something warm unfurls in my chest, pushing back the cold certainty of what's coming. They taught me that love means control, means secrets and fear. But maybe, just maybe, it can mean something else. I know, I say softly. That's why we're going to win. The fever hits Hope like a thunderbolt. One moment she's playing in the backyard, the next she's burning up in my arms as I race to the emergency room. My hands shake as I fill out admission forms, my mind spinning with the doctor's questions. Any family history of autoimmune disorders? I freeze. I don't know. My father's side? The doctor looks up from her clipboard. We should contact them. Some conditions are genetic. I can't. The words taste bitter. I don't have any contact information. She frowns but keeps writing. Hope whimpers on the hospital bed, her small hand clutching mine. The monitors beep steadily, each sound a reminder of how much I don't know about half of my daughter's medical history. My phone lights up. Mother calling. I silence it, but the texts start immediately. Heard Hope's in the hospital. We're coming. Nancy's bringing a specialist from her country club. Don't be difficult about this, Sadie. I want to throw the phone against the wall. Instead, I call Raphael. They're coming, I say when he answers. I can't deal with them right now. Not with Hope like this. I'm on my way. No questions, no hesitation. He arrives just as my mother sweeps in, Nancy close behind. They're both perfectly put together, as if they're attending a social event rather than visiting a sick child. Oh, darling. Mother moves toward Hope, but I step between them. Don't be ridiculous, Nancy snaps. We brought Dr. Harrison. He's the best pediatric specialist in the state. A distinguished-looking man hovers in the doorway, medical bag in hand. Hope's monitors beep faster. She has doctors, I say. She's being treated. By emergency room staff? Mother's voice drips concern. Surely you want what's best for her. Like you wanted what was best for my father? The words escape before I can stop them. Nancy goes still. Mother's face hardens. So, she says softly, Aaron told you. Get out. My voice shakes. All of you. Think carefully, Nancy warns. About Hope's future. About what's at stake. I am thinking about her future. I feel Raphael's steady presence behind me, lending me strength. That's why you need to leave. Now. Mother steps closer, her voice dropping to a whisper. You really want to do this? Risk everything? What happens when Hope asks why she can't go to the best schools? Why she can't have the opportunities other children have? What happens when she asks why her grandfather never contacted her? I counter. When she realizes her whole family is built on blackmail and lies? Hope stirs on the bed, her eyes fluttering open. Mommy? I'm at her side instantly, smoothing her hair back. Her skin feels cooler. The fever's breaking, the nurse says, checking the monitors. The antibiotics are working. Relief floods through me, followed by a clarity so sharp it takes my breath away. I turn back to my mother and sister. You know what I realized? You've never actually cared about Hope. Or me. Or anyone. It's all just control. Power. Making everyone dance to your tune. That's not... Nancy starts, but I cut her off. When Hope was burning up in my arms, my only thought was keeping her safe. But you? I laugh softly. You saw an opportunity. Another chance to sink your hooks in. We're family, Mother says, as if that explains everything. No. I take Hope's hand, draw strength from her steady breathing. Family doesn't destroy people to keep them close. Family doesn't collect secrets like weapons. Raphael moves to stand beside me, his shoulder touching mine. A united front. Last chance, Nancy says. Think about what you're throwing away. I am. I meet her eyes steadily. I'm thinking about the kind of mother I want to be. The kind of life I want Hope to have. And it's not this. They leave finally, their threats hanging in the air like poison. Hope sleeps peacefully. The worst of the fever passed. You okay? Raphael asks softly. No. I lean against him, letting out a shaky breath. But I will be. We need to move faster now. They'll try to take control of Hope's medical decisions next, claim I'm unstable. We've got enough evidence. We could... Not yet. I straighten up, my mind clearing. First, I need to find my father. Not just for Hope's medical history. For everything. They'll fight back harder than ever. Good. I look at Hope, at her innocent face free from the weight of family legacy. Let them fight. This time I'm ready to burn it all down. Finding my father takes 3 days of intense searching and one unexpected phone call. When his number appears on my screen, my heart nearly stops. Sadie? His voice is exactly as I remember. Aaron reached out to me. I gripped the phone tighter. Did she tell you why? Some of it. About Hope being sick. About your mother. He pauses. I should have fought harder. Should have found another way. I need to see you, I say. There's more happening. Things you should know. We arrange to meet at a quiet cafe across town. Raphael offers to come with me, but this is something I need to do alone. My father looks older than I expected. Gray threading his hair, lines around his eyes. But his smile, that's the same. He stands when he sees me, uncertain. You look just like your grandmother. He says softly. Mom's mom or yours? Mine. The one they wouldn't let you meet. We sit. The weight of lost years between us. I take out the folder I've prepared. Documents, bank statements, everything we've gathered. Before I show you this, I say, I need to know what they had on you. What made you walk away completely? He stares into his coffee. They found evidence that I'd falsified research data early in my career. One small study, but it would have destroyed everything I'd built. Your mother said if I gave up custody, stayed away, she'd keep it buried. And you believed her? I believed she'd use it. You don't know what she's capable of. Actually, I cut in. I do. That's why I'm here. I slide the folder across the table. He opens it, starts reading. His face grows paler with each page. My God, he whispers. The foundation, the trust funds. How long has this been going on? Decades. They've been... My phone buzzes. A text from Raphael. 911. Nancy just left your mother's house, heading your way. My father sees my expression change. What is it? We need to move, now. I start gathering the papers, but it's too late. Nancy walks in, her heels clicking on the tile floor. Her face twists when she sees us. Well, isn't this cozy? She slides into the booth beside me, blocking my exit. A little family reunion? How did you... Find you. Please? She rolls her eyes. Erin really should be more careful with her phone. All those guilty texts about helping you contact Daddy Dearest. My father starts to stand, but Nancy's next words freeze him. I wouldn't if I were you. Not unless you want that research fraud evidence going public. Amazing how long universities keep records. That's your answer to everything, isn't it? I say. Threats? Blackmail? Does it ever get tired, holding everyone hostage? Speaking of hostages, Nancy's smile turns sharp. Mother's having a lovely time with Hope right now. At her house, where your babysitter just dropped her off. The blood drains from my face. What? Oh, didn't you know? Mother filed for emergency custody this morning, given your erratic behavior and concerning associations lately. She gestures at our father. The judge was very sympathetic. Temporary order, of course, just until you stabilize. My father's hand finds mine under the table. Sadie, what do you need? The question startles me. After all these years, all their manipulation, someone finally asking what I need instead of telling me what to do. Nancy's phone chimes. She checks it, smirks. Mother wants to know if you're ready to discuss terms, about Hope's future, about all of this mess you're making. I think of Hope at my mother's house, surrounded by their poison. Think of all the people they've hurt, all the lives they've twisted. Something hardens in my chest. Actually, I say, I have terms of my own. Nancy laughs. You're not exactly in a position, everything goes public. I cut in. All of it. The fraud, the embezzlement, the blackmail. Every dirty secret, every ruined life. Unless. Unless what? Unless Hope and I walk away. Clean break. No contact, no claims on her trust fund, nothing. And you leave everyone else alone too. Erin, her brother, our father, everyone you've got dirt on. It all gets buried for good. You'd give up Hope's inheritance, all those opportunities? To get her away from you? In a heartbeat. Nancy's smile falters. For the first time, I see real uncertainty in her eyes. Mother won't agree, she says, but her voice wavers. Then I guess we'll all go down together. I meet her gaze steadily. Your call. She stands abruptly. I'll convey your terms. After she leaves, my father squeezes my hand. What now? I take out my phone, text Raphael. Start the countdown. 1 hour. Now, I tell my father. We get ready for their answer. Either way, this ends today. My mother's house looms before me, elegant and suffocating as ever. Raphael's car idles at the curb, my father's beside it. Both ready if things go wrong. The flash drive in my pocket feels heavy with everything we've gathered. Every secret, every crime, every ruined life. 1 hour. That's what I gave them to decide. Nancy opens the door before I can knock. They're in the study. Hope's laughter drifts from upstairs, playing in the room that used to be mine. Every instinct screams to run up there, grab her, and flee. Instead, I follow Nancy down the familiar hallway. My mother sits behind the massive oak desk, perfectly composed. I assume you've thought this through? More than you know. I remain standing. Well, she slides a document across the desk. Your terms, formalized, full custody of Hope, complete separation from the family, all evidence of past indiscretions, permanently sealed, in exchange for my silence, and the destruction of any evidence you've gathered. Her eyes narrow. All copies. I take out the flash drive, hold it up. Everything's here, but I'm not handing it over until the papers are signed and Hope's in my car. You really want to do this? Nancy asks. Cut Hope off from her family, her inheritance? This isn't family. I meet my mother's eyes. This is a prison. One you've spent decades building, keeping everyone in line with their own secrets. But Hope deserves better. We've only ever wanted control, I cut in. That's all you've ever wanted. The money, the secrets, they're just tools. Well, now I have tools of my own. My mother's mask cracks slightly. You think you can threaten us? I learn from the best. I smile, and she actually flinches. Sign the papers. She picks up her pen, then pauses. You'll never be able to give her what we could. The best schools, the right connections. I'll give her something better. Freedom. My voice hardens. Sign. The scratch of her pen feels like victory. Nancy signs next, her hand trembling slightly. I want to see what's on that drive, my mother says. Before you leave. Fine. I plug it into her computer, pull up the files. Watch their faces as they scroll through decades of carefully documented crimes. Nancy's embezzlement. The fraudulent foundation. Every manipulated trust fund. Every blackmailed relative. My God, Nancy whispers. How did you... I had help. Turns out when you hurt enough people, eventually they fight back. A small sound makes us all turn. Hope stands in the doorway, clutching her backpack. Ready to go, baby? I keep my voice steady. She nods, but my mother stands. Hope, sweetheart, don't you want to stay? We could have ice cream, play in the garden. No. Hope's voice is small but firm. I want to go home. Something shifts in my mother's expression. Recognition, maybe, of a power she can't control. She sinks back into her chair, suddenly looking old. The papers are signed, I say. We're done here. Sadie. Nancy catches my arm as I reach for Hope's hand. What happens now? Now? You live with the knowledge that one wrong move, one attempt to contact us or hurt anyone else in the family, and everything goes public. Think of it as karma. You're just like her, Nancy spits, using secrets as weapons. No. I scoop Hope up, feel her arms wrap around my neck. I'm using the truth to set us free. There's a difference. Outside, Raphael and my father straighten up from their cars. Everything okay? Raphael asks. I look at Hope's face, see nothing but trust there. Better than okay. Ice cream? Hope asks hopefully. Actually, my father steps forward. I know a great place, if that's all right. I think of all the ice cream trips we never had, all the moments stolen by secrets and fear. I'd like that. As we drive away, I watch my mother's house shrink in the rearview mirror. Hope chatters happily about ice cream flavors, unaware of the weight that's lifted. Raphael follows in his car, my father in his. A new kind of family forming, built on truth instead of threats. The flash drive sits in my pocket, insurance against the past repeating itself. But looking at Hope's smile in the mirror, I know I'll never need it. Some chains once broken, stay broken. Mommy? Hope asks. Are we going to be okay? I catch Raphael's supportive smile in the rearview mirror, see my father's car keeping steady pace behind us. Yeah, baby, I say, and for the first time in years, I completely believe it. We're going to be better than okay. The ice cream parlor is exactly as my father remembered. Red vinyl booths, chrome fixtures, the sweet smell of waffle cones. Hope sits between us, demolishing a sundae almost as big as her head. My father keeps sneaking glances at her, like he can't quite believe she's real. "You have chocolate on your nose," I tell her, reaching for a napkin. "Just like you used to," my father says softly. Every Sunday after church, the memory hits unexpectedly. Sitting in a booth just like this, my father wiping ice cream from my face while my mother complained about proper manners. Before the secrets took over, before everything broke. Raphael returns from the counter with more napkins, slides in beside me. His presence steadies me as it has through everything. "I found something," he says quietly, showing me his phone. "About your grandmother, your father's mother." My heart skips. "What?" "She's alive. In a nursing home 2 hours from here." My father's hand trembles on the table. "Mother? But they told me she died years ago. Right after you left." I finish. Another lie. Another manipulation. Hope looks up from her sundae. "Who's alive?" "Your great-grandmother," I tell her. "Would you like to meet her?" Her eyes light up. "Another grandma?" "A better one," my father says, his voice rough with emotion. My phone buzzes. A text from Erin. "Nancy just left town. Heading to California. Mother's not answering anyone's calls." I should feel triumph, or at least satisfaction. Instead, there's only a quiet certainty that we made the right choice. Their power was always in isolation, in keeping everyone separate and scared. But here we sit, 3 generations in a booth, building something new from the ashes of their control. "Can we go see her now?" Hope asks, practically bouncing. "Please?" I look at my father, see the hope and fear warring in his expression. "We should call first," he says. "Make sure." "Already did," Raphael admits. "She's been asking about you for years, both of you." The last piece clicks into place. Not just escaping my mother's web, but building a new family, one based on choice and truth rather than obligation and fear. "Finish your ice cream first," I tell Hope. "Then we'll go." She attacks her sundae with renewed vigor while my father makes the call, his voice cracking when he says, "Mother?" I lean against Raphael, watching them both. "You okay?" he asks softly. I thought ending things with them would feel like losing something, I admit. But it feels like finally being able to breathe. Freedom usually does. Hope tugs my sleeve. "Done. Can we go now?" I look at my father, still on the phone, tears streaming down his face as he listens to his mother's voice. At Raphael, who helped me find strength I didn't know I had. At Hope, who deserves every chance at joy and love without conditions. "Yeah, baby, we can go." As we gather our things, a familiar figure appears outside the window. My mother, standing alone on the sidewalk, watching us. Our eyes meet through the glass. For a moment, I see her clearly. Not as the manipulative matriarch, but as someone who built a cage so perfect she trapped herself inside it. She raises her hand, not waving, just acknowledging. I nod once, then turn away. Her choice was power. Mine is freedom. "Ready?" Raphael asks, holding the door. Hope skips ahead with my father, chattering about meeting her new grandmother. I take Raphael's hand, feeling the warmth of it, the promise of support without demands. "You never told me," I say as we walk to the cars. "Why did you help me? Really?" He smiles. "Because the first time I saw you with Hope, I realized what real love looks like. Not the kind that comes with conditions or costs. Just love." Hope calls from ahead. "Mommy, come on." I squeeze Raphael's hand, then let go to catch up with my daughter. The afternoon sun feels warm on my face, and ahead lies a grandmother's embrace, a father's redemption, a future unbound by secrets. Behind us, the ice cream parlor's bell chimes one last time. I don't look back to see if my mother's still watching. Her story was about power and control. But mine? Mine is about breaking free. about choosing love over fear, truth over safety. Mine is about building something better from the broken pieces, and it's only just beginning.
The inheritance check sat on my kitchen counter, mocking me with its emptiness. $300,000. Gone. Not stolen by a stranger or lost to some elaborate scam, but swindled away by my own sister. I'm Emily, and until yesterday, I thought I knew what family meant. You can't just take what was meant for me. My voice cracked as I confronted Ainsley in our childhood home's living room. She sat there, perfectly composed in her designer outfit, probably bought with my money. The will didn't specify you, she said coolly, examining her manicured nails. Aunt Caroline left it to her beloved niece. I'm her niece too. You know she meant me. I was the one who visited her every weekend. I was the one who helped with her medical appointments. I was the perfect niece? Ainsley's eyes flashed. Some of us had to work, Emily. We can't all spend our time playing favorite with rich relatives. The irony of her words hit like a slap. I'd been working 2 jobs while finishing my architecture degree, while Ainsley hopped between marketing positions, living off our parents' generosity. Working? I laughed bitterly. Is that what you call maxing out mom and dad's credit cards? The front door opened, and Cynthia, my mentor from the architecture firm, stepped in. I'd called her in desperation, needing someone who understood contract law. Emily? She looked between us, her experienced eyes taking in the scene. I came as soon as I could. Ainsley straightened. This is a family matter. Family? I grabbed the empty inheritance check. You forged my signature, Ainsley. You convinced the executor you were me. Cynthia's sharp intake of breath cut through the tension. That's a serious accusation. It's also unprovable. Ainsley stood, smoothing her skirt. The money's been transferred. It's done. My hands shook as I reached for my phone. I'm calling the police. Go ahead, Ainsley challenged. Drag our family through a scandal. Make Mom cry more than she already has. Besides, she smiled sweetly, I've already spent most of it. Cynthia placed a steady hand on my arm. Emily, wait, let's think this through. But I was already dialing. Ainsley's face paled slightly, but she maintained her composure. Mom and Dad will never forgive you. I paused, finger hovering over the call button. She was right. Our parents would be devastated. They'd already lost so much trying to keep our family afloat. You're really going to stand there and blackmail me with our parents' happiness? I asked, my voice barely a whisper. I'm being practical. Something you never learned. Ainsley grabbed her purse. Face it, Emily. You're too soft for the real world. That money would have been wasted on your little dream projects. Cynthia stepped forward. Dreams like the sustainable housing initiative she's been developing, the one that could revolutionize affordable housing in this city? Ainsley faltered for a moment, but quickly recovered. Whatever. What's done is done. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. I opened it, barely registering the words through my anger. Get out, I said quietly. This is my house too. Get out, I screamed, my voice raw with emotion. You're not my sister anymore. You're just a thief in designer clothes. Ainsley's mask cracked slightly. For a moment, I saw something. Regret? Fear? But then it was gone, replaced by cold determination. She walked to the door, pausing only briefly. You'll thank me someday, when you learn how the world really works. After she left, Cynthia read the text over my shoulder. Emily, this could change everything. I nodded numbly, reading it again. Isaiah Murphy, head of Murphy & Associates, wanted to meet about leading their new cityscape project, the biggest architectural opportunity in the city's history. The universe has interesting timing, Cynthia said softly. Maybe this is your real inheritance. I wiped my eyes, straightening my shoulders. Maybe it is. I looked around the living room at the family photos mocking me from the walls. I need to pack. You're moving out? I can't stay here. Not with her. I met Cynthia's concerned gaze. I thought I knew my sister, but the Ainsley I grew up with, she died today, along with every happy memory I had of us. Cynthia helped me pack that night. As we loaded the last box into my car, my phone buzzed again. Isaiah wanted to meet tomorrow morning. You know what they say, Cynthia smiled, hugging me goodbye. Success is the best revenge. I watched our childhood home fade in my rearview mirror, each mile putting distance between me and the betrayal. Aunt Caroline had always said everything happens for a reason. Maybe she was right. Maybe losing my inheritance would lead me to something better, something Ainsley couldn't steal. But first, I had a meeting to prepare for. The Whitfield Tower will redefine our city's skyline. Isaiah gestured at the blueprints spread across the conference room table. And I want you to lead it, Emily. I tried to keep my hands from shaking as I traced the preliminary sketches. This wasn't just a building. It was a 40-story statement of innovation and sustainability, the kind of project architects dream about. Why me? I asked. There must be dozens of more experienced... I've seen your work, Isaiah interrupted. That sustainable housing concept Cynthia showed me, that's exactly the fresh perspective we need. He leaned forward. This is a chance to make history, Emily. Are you in? Absolutely. The word came out before I could overthink it. Perfect. Isaiah stood, straightening his tie. Team meeting in 10 minutes. Time to meet your crew. I followed him down the sleek hallway, my heels clicking against marble floors. After a sleepless night in my new apartment, this felt surreal. Yesterday, I'd lost everything. Today, I was about to lead the biggest project of my career. Isaiah pushed open the glass doors to the main conference room. Everyone, meet your new project lead. The words died in my throat. There, sitting among the faces turning to greet me, was Ainsley. Our eyes met. Her perfect composure slipped for just a second, showing the same shock I felt. Then her mask was back, professional smile firmly in place. Emily, she said smoothly. What a surprise. Isaiah looked between us. You two know each other? We've worked together before, I said before Ainsley could speak. Two could play at this game. The next hour was torture. I introduced myself, outlined my vision for the project, and assigned initial tasks, all while pretending my sister wasn't sitting there, wearing another expensive outfit bought with my stolen money. After the meeting, Cynthia pulled me into her office. You didn't tell me Ainsley worked here. I didn't know. I collapsed into a chair. She must have started recently. God, Cynthia, what am I going to do? Your job, she said firmly. You earned this position. Don't let her take this from you, too. A knock at the door made us both jump. It was Kinley Whitfield, our client, elegant in a power suit that probably cost more than my monthly rent. Emily, she smiled warmly, Isaiah speaks highly of you. Do you have a moment? I followed her to her temporary office, trying to look more confident than I felt. She settled behind her desk, studying me. I'll be direct, she said. This project means everything to my company. I need to know you can handle it. I can, I said firmly. My team? About your team, she interrupted. That young woman, Ainsley, she's been pushing some interesting ideas, very ambitious. My stomach churned. Of course, Ainsley had already started networking with the client. I'm familiar with her work, I said carefully. Good. Kinley smiled. Because she'll be your primary liaison with my office. I think you two will work well together. I managed to maintain my professional smile until I reached the bathroom. Then I gripped the sink, fighting back tears of frustration. The door swung open. Ainsley walked in, checking her lipstick in the mirror. Congratulations on the promotion, she said casually. Though I have to wonder how you managed it without Aunt Caroline's money. Unlike you, I earn things honestly. She turned to face me. You know, I was surprised to see you here. I thought you'd be too busy filing police reports. Don't worry, I straightened, meeting her gaze. I found a better way to handle things. Oh? Her eyebrow arched. And what's that? You'll see. I moved toward the door, then paused. By the way, Ainsley, I noticed some errors in your preliminary reports. Fix them before tomorrow's review. Her face flushed. You can't. I'm your supervisor now, I cut her off. I can and I will. Welcome to the real world, sis. I left her standing there, satisfaction warming my chest. Back at my new desk, I found a message from Trey, Ainsley's friend from the marketing department. Heard about the family reunion, he wrote. Need a drink after work? God, yes, I replied. My computer pinged with another message, this time from Isaiah. He wanted the first design presentation by Friday. 3 days to prove I deserved this position. I opened my design software, pushing thoughts of Ainsley aside. She'd stolen my inheritance, but she couldn't steal my talent or my determination. Emily, Cynthia appeared at my door. Kinley wants to discuss the environmental impact reports. I grabbed my tablet, squaring my shoulders. Let's go. As I walked past Ainsley's desk, I saw her struggling with the corrections I'd requested. For the first time since the inheritance theft, I felt a glimmer of hope. Maybe karma was real after all. You're pushing her too hard, Cynthia warned, sliding a coffee across my desk. The sustainability analysis you assigned Ainsley, that's senior architect level work. She wanted to play in the big leagues, I replied, reviewing Ainsley's latest report. Red marks covered nearly every page. Now she gets to prove herself. This isn't about proving anything, it's about revenge. Before I could respond, Trey appeared in my doorway, his usually cheerful face serious. Emily, we need to talk about Ainsley's workload. Not you too. I rubbed my temples. She has the same assignments as everyone else. Really? He dropped a stack of papers on my desk. Because I've seen everyone's task lists. You're giving her the most complex calculations, the tightest deadlines. If she can't handle it, she shouldn't be on this project. She's been here until midnight every night this week. That's not my problem. But even as I said it, something twisted in my gut. The dark circles under Ainsley's eyes hadn't escaped my notice. Trey leaned forward. Look, I get it. She hurt you. But this isn't you, Emily. You don't know me, I snapped. I know you used to help her with her math homework. I know you stayed up all night when she had the flu senior year. I know. That was before she stole my future. The office went quiet. I'd spoken louder than intended, and through the glass walls I could see several heads turn our way, including Ainsley's. Cynthia closed my office door. Emily, listen to yourself. You're letting this consume you. Meeting in 5 minutes. Isaiah's voice carried through the office. Bring the updated designs. I gathered my materials, avoiding both Cynthia and Trey's concerned looks. In the conference room, Ainsley sat as far from me as possible, her hands shaking slightly as she arranged her papers. All right, team, Isaiah began. Kinley's arriving in 20 minutes. Where are we with the environmental impact studies? All eyes turned to Ainsley. She stood fumbling with her presentation. The calculations show, the sustainability metrics indicate. She trailed off, staring at her numbers. Is there a problem? Isaiah asked. Ainsley's voice cracked. I need more time to verify the data. More time? Kinley's voice cut through the room. None of us had heard her enter. I thought these reports were ready. Ainsley's face went pale. They will be. I just need to double check. Ms. Whitfield, I interrupted, standing. I can explain the current findings. For the next 15 minutes, I walked through the environmental impact analysis, covering for Ainsley's incomplete work. I knew these calculations inside out. I'd done similar ones for my sustainable housing project. After the meeting, Kinley pulled me aside. Impressive save, though I'm concerned about your team's preparation. It won't happen again, I assured her. See that it doesn't. This project can't afford mistakes. I found Ainsley in the break room, hands wrapped around a cold cup of coffee. For a moment, I saw the little girl who used to crawl into my bed during thunderstorms. You're lucky I could cover for you, I said, keeping my voice neutral. Lucky? She looked up, eyes red-rimmed. You set me up to fail. I gave you work you claimed you could handle. Because you knew I couldn't. She stood abruptly, coffee sloshing over the rim. You're trying to humiliate me, to prove a point. The only point here is that actions have consequences. Like you're so perfect? Her voice rose. You think I don't know about the calls from debt collectors? The maxed out credit cards? At least I'm doing something with the money. By sabotaging my career? By investing in my future. Something you never had the guts to do. We were attracting attention again. Through the glass, I could see Cynthia watching with concern. Fix those calculations, I said quietly, or I'll have to report your performance to Isaiah. You wouldn't. Try me. I turned to leave, but her next words stopped me cold. Aunt Caroline would be ashamed of you right now. The rage that filled me was instant and overwhelming. I spun around, ready to unleash years of pent-up resentment, but Cynthia appeared between us. Emily, Kinley needs you. Now. I let her lead me away, my hands shaking with suppressed emotion. This has to stop, Cynthia said once we were alone. You're both going to destroy yourselves, and this project. She started this. And you're finishing it? Cynthia shook her head. The Emily I know builds things. She doesn't tear them down. Before I could respond, my phone buzzed. A message from Isaiah. Progress review tomorrow. All team members, no exceptions. I looked through the glass at Ainsley, now bent over her desk, frantically working on those calculations. The satisfaction I'd expected to feel was replaced by something else, something that felt uncomfortably like guilt. Maybe Cynthia was right. Maybe we were both losing ourselves in this war. But I was too far in to stop now. Wasn't I? The progress review was a disaster. Ainsley's hands trembled as she presented her revised calculations, dark circles prominent under her eyes. She'd clearly been up all night, but it wasn't enough. These numbers still don't add up, Isaiah said, frowning at the screen. The energy efficiency ratings are inconsistent with the building's design parameters. I can explain, Ainsley started, but her voice cracked. She reached for her water bottle, knocking it over instead. Water spilled across her papers, bleeding the ink into unreadable smudges. The room fell silent. I watched her trying to salvage the wet documents, and suddenly I was 12 again, watching 9-year-old Ainsley cry over spilled paint on her art project. I'd helped her recreate it that night, staying up until dawn to finish. Perhaps, Kinley said, breaking the silence, we should take a brief recess. As everyone filed out, Ainsley remained frozen, staring at the ruined papers. Without thinking, I stayed behind. Here, I handed her some tissues. Start with the edges first. She looked up, surprise replacing the panic in her eyes. Why are you helping me? I'm not, I stopped, noticing something in her calculations. Wait, you're using the wrong formula here. The sustainability matrix needs to account for solar gain. What? I pulled up a chair, pointing to the numbers. Look, you're calculating total energy output, but you need to factor in the seasonal variations, like when we used to track the sunlight for Mom's garden, remember? A ghost of a smile crossed her face. You made me graph everything. I hated it. You still got the best tomatoes in the neighborhood. For a moment, we were just sisters again, sharing a memory. Then reality crashed back as Isaiah returned. Everything all right in here? Ainsley straightened, professional mask back in place. Yes, sir. Emily was just clarifying some calculations. Good, because we need these numbers finalized by tomorrow. The board presentation... Board presentation? I interrupted. I thought that was next week. They moved it up, and they're considering internal promotions based on this project's success. He gave us both a meaningful look before leaving. Ainsley's expression changed. A promotion? Don't even think about it, I warned, standing up. You can barely handle your current responsibilities. I can handle anything you throw at me, she shot back, but her voice wavered. I gathered my things, pausing at the door. Prove it. Redo those calculations. Correctly this time. Back at my desk, I found an old photo had fallen from my planner. Ainsley and me at her college graduation, both smiling, her arms thrown around my neck. I'd paid for her cap and gown with my overtime money. You're still wearing it, Cynthia said, making me jump. She pointed to my wrist, where Ainsley's graduation gift, a simple silver bracelet, more still rested. I forgot to take it off, I muttered, but we both knew it was a lie. The board's looking for someone to head their new sustainability division, she said casually. Triple the salary, corner office. Why are you telling me this? Because I saw you in there, helping her. The real you slipped out for a minute. My phone buzzed. A text from Trey. Ainsley's crying in the bathroom again. This has to stop. I'm not the bad guy here, I said, but the words felt hollow. No? Cynthia picked up the graduation photo. Then why does it feel like you're both losing? Before I could respond, Kinley appeared. Emily, a word? In her office, she got straight to the point. I'm concerned about the team dynamics. Everything's fine. Don't insult my intelligence. She leaned forward. I've built my career reading people. You and Ainsley? There's history there. Bad history. I stayed silent. Here's the thing, Emily. You're brilliant. Your designs are revolutionary. But if personal drama compromises this project... She left the threat unspoken. Walking back to my office, I passed Ainsley's desk. She was on the phone, voice tight with stress. Please, just another week. No, I understand the payment terms, but yes, I know how much I owe. I stopped, recognizing the tone of someone drowning in debt. The same tone I'd used countless times before Aunt Caroline's inheritance was supposed to save me. Back at my desk, I pulled up Ainsley's latest design contributions. Behind the errors and rushed work, I saw flashes of genuine talent, ideas that could work with the right guidance. My computer pinged, an email about the board presentation. The promotion would change everything, a way out of my own financial mess, a chance to prove myself. But as I looked at the graduation photo, another memory surfaced. Ainsley at 6, holding my hand on her first day of school. "Don't let go, Emmy," she'd begged. "I'm scared." "I won't," I'd promised. Big sisters don't let go. Except I had. We both had. My phone buzzed again, Isaiah requesting the final presentation materials. I looked through the glass at Ainsley, still on the phone, shoulders slumped in defeat. The promotion could be my revenge, my justice, or it could be something else entirely. I just had to decide which sister I wanted to be. "You need to see this," Trey said, dropping a stack of papers on my desk after hours. The office was empty except for us and the cleaning crew. "I'm busy with the board presentation. These are Ainsley's bank statements." I pushed them away. "I don't want to see—" "Look at them, Emily, please." Reluctantly, I glanced at the top page. Multiple overdraft fees, loan payments, credit card bills with astronomical interest rates. "She's drowning," Trey said quietly. "The inheritance money? Most of it went to pay off your parents' mortgage. They were about to lose the house." The words hit me like a physical blow. "What?" "Your dad's business was failing. They'd refinanced 3 times. Ainsley found out when she overheard them talking about bankruptcy." I remembered Dad's mysterious business trips last year, Mom's forced cheerfulness, the way they'd stopped hosting family dinners. Why didn't they tell me? The same reason you never told them about your student loan struggles. Trey sat down. Pride, protection, pick one. But why didn't Ainsley just tell me the truth? Would you have agreed to give up your dream project money to save their house? I wanted to say yes, but we both knew the truth. That sustainable housing initiative had been everything to me. "She's not sleeping," Trey continued, barely eating. "Between the project workload and the guilt." "Guilt?" I laughed bitterly. "She doesn't feel guilty." "Really?" He pulled out his phone, showing me a text conversation. Ainsley's messages were time-stamped 3 a.m., filled with self-loathing and regret. "I destroyed my relationship with Emily forever," one read, "but I couldn't let Mom and Dad lose everything." My throat tightened. She still had no right. A crash from the hallway interrupted us. We rushed out to find Ainsley on the floor, surrounded by scattered papers and her broken laptop. "I'm fine," she said quickly, trying to stand, but she swayed, grabbing the wall for support. "When's the last time you ate?" Trey demanded. "I had coffee." "Coffee isn't food, Ains." "I have to finish these revisions," she mumbled. "The board presentation is in 2 days," I found myself saying, "and you're no good to anyone if you collapse." They both looked at me in surprise. "Come on," I sighed. "There's a diner around the corner. We'll get food and then—" I hesitated. "Then we need to talk." 20 minutes later, we sat in a worn booth, Ainsley picking at a grilled cheese sandwich while I stirred my coffee. "Why didn't you tell me about Mom and Dad?" I finally asked. She stared at her plate. "You were so excited about your project. Every time you talked about it, your whole face lit up. I couldn't—" "So you decided stealing was better?" "I decided saving our parents from homelessness was better." She pushed her plate away. "You don't know what it was like finding Dad crying in his office, watching Mom try to sell her jewelry. I had to do something. We could have figured it out together. Like you figured out your student loans, your credit card debt?" She met my eyes. "I saw the bills, Emily. You were drowning, too." I fell silent, remembering those desperate years of juggling payments, eating ramen, working multiple jobs. "I know what I did was wrong," Ainsley whispered. "I hate myself for it every day. But I'd do it again to keep our family from falling apart. And now you're falling apart instead." She wiped her eyes. "I'm fine." "No, you're not, and neither am I." I pulled out my phone, showing her the promotion email. "The board's looking for someone to head their sustainability division." "You deserve it," she said quietly. "You're brilliant, Emily. Always have been." "So are you." I surprised myself by meaning it. When you're not trying to prove something, your designs are innovative, different. She laughed weakly. Is this where you tell me you're firing me? No. I took a deep breath. This is where I tell you I'm going to help you fix those calculations. Properly this time. Her fork clattered to the table. What? The promotion isn't worth destroying what's left of us, and maybe... I twisted the silver bracelet on my wrist. Maybe it's time we both stopped drowning. Tears spilled down her cheeks. I'm so sorry, Emmy, for everything. I know. I reached across the table, squeezing her hand. We've got a lot to work through, but right now you need to eat that sandwich. We have a presentation to save. Trey, who'd been quietly watching, smiled. Does this mean no more midnight crying sessions? Shut up. Ainsley threw a napkin at him, laughing through her tears. As we left the diner, my phone buzzed. A text from Cynthia. Sometimes the biggest victories aren't the ones we plan for. Looking at Ainsley, exhausted but finally eating, I thought about Aunt Caroline, about family, about forgiveness. Maybe the real inheritance wasn't the money at all. Maybe it was the chance to rebuild what we'd broken. No, absolutely not. Kinley slammed her hand on the conference table. We are not redesigning the entire west facade 12 hours before the board presentation. I shared a worried glance with Ainsley. We'd been working through the night, our temporary truce tested by endless coffee and mounting pressure. Now, at 7 a.m., our client was threatening to derail everything. The current design doesn't maximize natural light, Kinley continued pacing. The board won't approve it. But changing it now would compromise the structural integrity, I argued. Then fix it, Kinley snapped. That's what I'm paying you for. After she stormed out, Ainsley slumped in her chair. We're screwed. No, I pulled up our design software. We're not. Remember that solution you proposed last week? The one with the stepped windows? Her eyes widened. You said it was too risky. It was, but right now, risky might be our only option. For the next hour, we reworked the design, our old rhythm returning surprisingly easily. Ainsley's creative approach balanced my technical precision, just like when we used to build elaborate blanket forts as kids. There, Ainsley pointed at the screen. If we angle the panels like this, we can increase light penetration without compromising support, I finished. It could work. Could? Isaiah appeared behind us, making us both jump. We need better than could for the board. It will work, I said firmly, but we need the whole team. Isaiah studied us for a moment, then nodded. You have 4 hours. The office transformed into organized chaos. Trey coordinated with contractors, running cost analyses. Cynthia helped us refine the technical specifications. Even the cleaning staff pitched in, keeping us supplied with coffee and snacks. Your calculations were right, I told Ainsley as we fine-tuned the design. About the solar gain, I just didn't want to admit it. She looked up, surprised. Really? Really? You see things differently than I do. Maybe that's not bad? A small smile crossed her face. Remember when I redesigned your treehouse blueprints? You added a secret trap door, I laughed. Dad nearly had a heart attack. But it worked. Yeah, I said softly. It did. The moment was interrupted by Kinley's return. She studied our new design in silence, her expression unreadable. Well, I asked finally. It's unexpected. She turned to face us. Bold, innovative, possibly brilliant or completely insane. Sometimes those are the same thing, Ainsley said. Kinley's lips twitched. You sound like my daughter. She straightened her jacket. Make it work. The board meets it too. As she left, Isaiah called everyone together. 4 teams, 2 hours. Emily, Ainsley, you're presenting. Both of us? Ainsley asked. Problem with that? We looked at each other. No, I said. No problem. The next 2 hours passed in a blur of last-minute adjustments and presentation prep. At one point, I found Ainsley in the break room, practicing her part. You're rushing the sustainability metrics, I said. I know, what if I mess up again? You won't. I handed her a granola bar. But eat something first. You're still too pale. She took it, hesitating. Emily, if this works, about the promotion, let's just get through today. The boardroom was intimidating, all dark wood and stern faces. As we set up our presentation, I noticed Ainsley's hands shaking slightly. Under the table, I reached over and squeezed her hand once, like I used to do before her school plays. She squeezed back. Ladies and gentlemen, I began, we'd like to present a revolutionary approach to the Whitfield Tower design. For the next 30 minutes, we tag-teamed the presentation. Ainsley handled the creative vision while I covered the technical details. When questions came, we fielded them together, our different perspectives creating a more complete picture. This is unusual, one board member said finally, but impressive, very impressive. Kinley was beaming. Isaiah looked proud. Even Cynthia, watching from the back, was wiping her eyes. As we packed up, Ainsley turned to me. That felt right, I suggested. Yeah. She fiddled with her presentation notes. Listen, about the promotion. Mrs. Stanley? A board member approached. Both of you, we'd like to discuss something. We followed him to a smaller conference room where several board members waited. We've been considering the new sustainability division, he began, and after today's presentation, we'd like to propose something different. I held my breath. We'd like to offer you both positions. Co-directors, your different approaches working together could be exactly what this company needs. Ainsley and I stared at each other, months of anger and hurt colliding with decades of sisterhood. Well, he asked, what do you say? The answer, I realized, would change everything, again. But this time, we'd face it together. Co-directors? I paced Cynthia's office after the meeting. It's insane. We can barely work together on one project. You did today, she pointed out. That was different. We were desperate. Were you? She raised an eyebrow. Or did you finally stop fighting each other and start fighting for something? Before I could respond, Ainsley burst in. We need to talk. I'll give you two some privacy, Cynthia said, heading for the door. No, stay, Ainsley said. Please, we might need a witness. I crossed my arms. A witness for what? Ainsley pulled an envelope from her bag. This is a cashier's check for the inheritance money. My heart stopped. What? I've been working with a financial advisor. Sold my car, my designer clothes, took out a loan. She held out the envelope. It's not all of it yet, but it's a start. My hands shook as I took it. Why now? Because I can't start something new while carrying old guilt. She met my eyes. I was wrong, Emily. So wrong. And I'm not asking for forgiveness, but I am asking for a chance to make it right. By throwing money at it? No. She took a deep breath. By being honest about everything. For the next hour, she laid it all out. The desperate phone call from Mom about the house, Dad's failing business, the mounting debts, her own struggles with feeling second best. I convinced myself I was doing the right thing, she said, wiping tears. That saving the house was worth losing my sister. But it wasn't. Nothing was worth that. Why didn't you just talk to me? Because you always fix everything. She stood, frustrated. You're the responsible one, the successful one. I wanted to be the hero for once, to prove I could solve problems too. By creating bigger ones? I know I screwed up everything, and now they're offering us this amazing opportunity and I don't deserve it and... Stop. I held up my hand. Just stop. The office fell silent. Through the glass walls, I could see our colleagues trying not to stare. You're right, I said finally. You screwed up. Massively, but maybe I did too. With the revenge, the impossible assignments. I became someone I didn't like very much. Cynthia cleared her throat. If I may, I've watched you both these past weeks. The anger, the competition, but also the potential. Today proved what you can accomplish together. It was one presentation, I argued. It was more than that, Ainsley said quietly. It was us, the real us. Before money and jealousy and stupid pride got in the way. My phone buzzed, a text from Mom. Heard about your promotion opportunity, both of you, so proud. They know, Ainsley said, seeing my expression. I told them everything last night, about the inheritance, the house, all of it. How did they take it? Dad cried, Mom yelled. Then they both hugged me and said they'd rather lose the house than see their daughters destroy each other. Fresh tears spilled down her cheeks. They're selling the house anyway, moving to something smaller. They want us to focus on healing, not debt. I looked at the check in my hands, at my sister's tear-stained face, at the photo of us still sitting on my desk. The board wants an answer by tomorrow. I said. I know. She straightened. And whatever you decide, I'll respect it. If you want the position alone, it's yours. I can find another job. That's not... I stopped, frustrated. This isn't about the job anymore, is it? No, she whispered. It's not. Cynthia stood. I'm going to get coffee, lots of coffee. You two, figure this out. After she left, Ainsley and I stared at each other across the office. Years of love and hurt and competition hung between us. Remember when we were kids, I said slowly, and we'd build those crazy Lego cities? You always did the structure, I did the decorations. And they always worked better together than apart. She caught her breath. Emily, I'm still angry, I said firmly. This isn't a magical fix. We have a lot to work through. I know. And if we do this, there have to be rules, boundaries, complete honesty. Hope flickered in her eyes. Does that mean... It means I'm willing to try. For the project. For us. She started to smile, then stopped herself. What about the inheritance money? I looked at the check again. Keep it. Use it to pay back your loans. Consider it an investment in our future. Our future? Yeah. I managed a small smile. After all, co-directors should start with a clean slate. She launched herself at me, hugging me fiercely. For a moment, I stiffened. Then slowly, I hugged her back. Outside the office, I saw Cynthia watching, coffee forgotten in her hands. She gave me a proud nod. Maybe we were crazy. Maybe this would all fall apart. But maybe, just maybe, we could build something stronger than before. Together. It's perfect, Kinley breathed, staring up at the nearly completed Whitfield Tower. Absolutely perfect. The morning sun caught the stepped windows of the west facade, sending ribbons of light dancing across the plaza. Around us, construction crews were putting the finishing touches on the sustainability features Ainsley and I had designed together. Not quite perfect, I said, checking my tablet. The solar panels on the south side still need adjusting. Always the perfectionist, Ainsley teased, joining us. The energy efficiency ratings are already exceeding projections. Speaking of projections, Kinley turned to face us. The board is very interested in expanding this design concept to other cities. My heart skipped. Other cities? They're calling it the future of sustainable architecture. Your future, specifically. She smiled. Assuming you're both interested? Ainsley and I exchanged glances. 6 months of working together as co-directors had taught us to read each other's expressions. We'll need to discuss it, I said carefully. Of course. Kinley checked her watch. The ribbon-cutting ceremony is in 2 hours. Try to decide before then? After she left, Ainsley and I walked the plaza, our heels clicking on the recycled glass pavement we'd insisted on using. Remember when we first saw this site? Ainsley asked. It was just an empty lot. Now it's going to change how cities think about sustainable development. I touched one of the living wall panels. All because you insisted on integrating vertical gardens, and because you figured out how to make them work structurally. She paused. We make a good team, don't we? When we're not trying to destroy each other, yeah, we do. A construction worker called us over to check some final details. As we worked, I noticed Ainsley kept checking her phone. Everything okay? Mom and Dad are on their way, she bit her lip. With some news about the house? My stomach tightened. Despite their plans to downsize, our parents had struggled to sell the family home. Good news or bad news? They wouldn't say, but she showed me her phone. Trey's been helping them with the listings. I smiled. Trey had become a regular at our weekly family dinners, his easy humor helping bridge the awkward moments as we rebuilt our relationships. Ms. Emily, a worker called down from above. We found something in the time capsule wall. During construction, we'd created a space for the community to leave messages for future generations. But this was different, an envelope with my name on it. I recognized the handwriting immediately. Aunt Caroline. How? I looked at Ainsley, who suddenly seemed very interested in her shoes. I found it in her things, she admitted. After everything. I asked Cynthia to help me hide it here, for today. With trembling fingers, I opened the letter. My dearest Emily, if you're reading this, you've completed your first major project. I always knew you would. Your talent isn't just in designing buildings, it's in building connections. Between spaces, between ideas, and most importantly, between people. Money can start dreams, but it can't sustain them. That takes something stronger. Something I see every time you help your sister with her homework, or when she makes you laugh after a hard day. Take care of each other. Build something wonderful together. All my love, Aunt Caroline. I wiped my eyes, smudging my mascara. You didn't read it? Ainsley shook her head. It wasn't mine to read. Before I could respond, our parents arrived. Mom was practically bouncing with excitement. We sold the house, she announced, to a lovely young family, and, she glanced at Dad. We found something perfect for us, a fixer-upper. A what? Ainsley and I said simultaneously. Dad grinned. We thought maybe our architect daughters could help us design some renovations, together. I looked at Ainsley, seeing my own smile reflected back. I think we can handle that. Speaking of handling things, Cynthia appeared, looking elegant despite the construction dust. The press is arriving for the ceremony. As we headed inside to prepare, Ainsley grabbed my arm. About Kinley's offer? The multi-city expansion? Are we ready for that? To take our partnership bigger? I thought about Aunt Caroline's letter, about connections and buildings and sisters who could be both rivals and allies. I think, I said slowly, that we're ready for anything, as long as we do it together. She hugged me quickly. I love you, Emmy. Love you too, brat. I pulled back. Now come on, we have a building to launch. The ceremony was a blur of speeches and photographs, but one moment stood crystal clear. Ainsley and I cutting the ribbon together, our free hands clasped between us. Above us, the tower we designed caught the light, sending it dancing across the city. Not just a building, but a bridge, between past and future, between sustainability and innovation, between two sisters who'd found their way back to each other. And as cameras flashed and applause thundered, I felt Aunt Caroline's presence, smiling down on the something wonderful we'd built together. Not just a tower reaching for the sky, but a foundation strong enough to support whatever came next.
I stood in front of the full-length mirror, hardly recognizing the woman staring back at me. The ivory dress hugged my curves perfectly, tiny pearls catching the light as I shifted. 3 years ago, I would have laughed if someone told me I'd be here. 5 minutes, Stella. Sarah poked her head in, her smile wide. You ready? Was I ready? My heart fluttered against my ribs like a trapped bird. I'd spent 32 years building walls around myself, convinced I'd never find someone who wouldn't eventually leave. Then Daniel walked into my life with his quiet confidence and unwavering patience. I've never been more ready for anything, I said, surprised by the steadiness in my voice. Sarah crossed the room, adjusting my veil with practiced hands. He's going to lose his mind when he sees you. The roses in my bouquet released their sweet scent as I clutched them tighter. My father should have been here to walk me down the aisle, but he'd chosen a new family over us 15 years ago. I'd invited him anyway. He hadn't responded. Ivy said Dad's not coming, I said, the words still stinging despite my preparation for this moment. Sarah squeezed my shoulder. His loss. Completely, utterly his loss. Music swelled from the church sanctuary. The wedding coordinator appeared at the door, giving us a thumbs up. This is it, Sarah whispered, her eyes glistening. You're happily ever after. I took a deep breath and stepped into the hallway. Yolanda, who'd been more mother to me than my own since college, waited to escort me. She clasped my hands, tears already streaming down her cheeks. Look at you, she whispered. Absolutely radiant. The doors opened. I caught sight of Daniel at the altar, his eyes finding mine instantly. The smile that broke across his face made my chest ache with happiness. This man, this kind, brilliant man, was about to become my husband. Each step down the aisle felt like floating. The faces of our friends and family blurred together as I focused solely on Daniel, on the future we were about to build. I was 3 steps from the altar when the church doors crashed open. Stop the wedding. The voice sliced through the music, through the moment, through my heart. A voice I'd spent 3 years trying to forget. Jake. The church fell silent as he strode down the aisle, his face flushed. I froze, my body suddenly cold despite the warm June air filtering through the stained glass windows. "Jake, what the hell?" Daniel stepped forward, positioning himself slightly in front of me. "She can't marry you," Jake said, his eyes wild as they locked with mine. "Tell him, Stella. Tell him about us." The bouquet trembled in my grip. "There is no us. There hasn't been for years." Jake laughed, the sound hollow and cruel. "That's not what you said 3 weeks ago in my bed." Gasps rippled through the church. I felt the blood drain from my face. "What?" Daniel's voice had dropped to a whisper. "He's lying," I said, reaching for Daniel's hand. He pulled away. "Daniel, please. Show him," Jake called out, addressing someone in the crowd. "Show him the proof." My heart stopped as Terrell, Jake's best friend, stood up from the third row. He held up his phone, his expression grim. "I didn't want to do this, man," he said to Daniel. "But you deserve to know." Daniel walked down the steps toward Terrell, taking the phone. I followed, my legs moving without conscious thought. Over his shoulder, I saw what looked like text messages. My name, dates from 3 weeks ago, words I'd never written. "This isn't real," I said, my voice rising. "I never sent these. I haven't spoken to Jake since we broke up." Daniel's face had gone completely blank, a mask I couldn't read. "There are pictures, Stella." "What pictures?" I grabbed for the phone, but he pulled it away. "Daniel, whatever he's showing you, it's fake. I would never—" "Your birthmark," he said quietly. "The one on your hip. It's visible in these photos." The room spun around me. How could there be photos? How could anyone have fabricated something so specific? "I can explain," Jake said, his voice suddenly reasonable, concerned. "She came to me confused, saying she had doubts. I should have turned her away, but—" "Shut up," I screamed, whirling to face him. "You're lying. I never came to you." But the damage was done. I could see it in Daniel's eyes, in the way he couldn't quite look at me. Doubt had taken root. "Daniel," I pleaded, reaching for him again. "You know me. You know I wouldn't do this." He finally met my gaze, his eyes swimming with pain. "I thought I knew you." From the corner of my eye, I caught Sarah slipping her phone into her purse, her face set in determination rather than shock. Unlike everyone else, she didn't look surprised. She looked ready. What did Sarah know that I didn't? The next hours passed in a blur of tears and accusations. Someone, Ivy, I think, guided me to the bridal suite while voices erupted in the sanctuary behind us. I sat motionless on a velvet chair, my wedding dress pooling around me like spilled milk, as the carefully constructed future I'd planned crumbled. "He's lying," I repeated, my voice growing hoarse. "I haven't seen Jake in 3 years." Ivy paced in front of me, her bridesmaid dress rustling with each step. "I believe you, Stella, but those pictures—" She trailed off, unable to finish the thought. A soft knock interrupted us. Sarah slipped in, her face tense but composed. "Everyone's gone," she said. "Daniel left with his brother." I looked up at her, suddenly remembering what I'd seen. "You weren't surprised," I said. "When Jake burst in, you weren't shocked like everyone else." Sarah's expression shifted almost imperceptibly. She closed the door behind her and pulled a chair directly in front of mine. "Because I knew he was planning something," she admitted, reaching into her purse. She withdrew a folded piece of paper. "This was delivered to my apartment yesterday." My hands trembled as I unfolded the note. The handwriting was unmistakably Jake's, the same slanting script that had once filled birthday cards and apology notes after our fights. "Sarah, I know we've never been close, but Stella needs to know the truth before she makes a terrible mistake. I'll be at the church tomorrow. Don't try to stop me." "Why didn't you tell me?" I asked, crumpling the paper in my fist. "I tried calling him," Sarah said. "He wouldn't answer. I thought about telling you, but it was your wedding day, Stella. I didn't want to ruin it with what might have been nothing." She leaned forward. "I never imagined he'd create such an elaborate lie." Daniel believed him, I whispered, the reality of it hitting me anew. After everything we've been through, he believed Jake over me. Ivy sat beside me, taking my hand. He was blindsided. Those pictures looked real, Stella. But they can't be real. I stood suddenly, the weight of my dress nearly toppling me. I haven't been anywhere near Jake. Sarah's expression hardened. Then someone's gone to extraordinary lengths to fake them. The question is why? I sank back into the chair, my mind racing. Jake and I had ended badly. Screaming matches, broken dishes, and finally, a restraining order after he refused to accept it was over. But that was 3 years ago. He'd moved away. I'd met Daniel. Life had moved on, or so I thought. I need to see those pictures, I said. Sarah and Ivy exchanged glances. Are you sure that's a good idea? Ivy asked gently. I need to know what I'm fighting against. Sarah nodded and pulled out her phone. I asked Terrell to send them to me. Said I needed to show Daniel's family. She hesitated. They're intimate, Stella. My stomach clenched as she handed me the phone. I forced myself to look. The woman in the photos was undeniably me, or someone who looked exactly like me, down to the crescent-shaped birthmark on my right hip. Her face was partially obscured in most shots, but the hair, the body shape, even the small scar on my shoulder from a childhood accident, all perfect matches. This is impossible, I breathed, scrolling through the images. This can't be me. Photoshop has gotten incredibly sophisticated, Sarah said, taking back her phone. But to fake this level of detail, Jake would need recent photos of you. Intimate ones. The implication hung in the air. Only Daniel had those kinds of photos. Daniel would never share those with anyone, I said firmly. And these are recent. Look at my hair. I only got it cut like this 2 months ago. Sarah's eyes narrowed. So either someone's been photographing you without your knowledge, or these are real, and I'm having some kind of psychotic break where I don't remember sleeping with my ex. I finished bitterly. Ivy stood up abruptly. This is ridiculous. We know you, Stella. If Jake thinks he can waltz back into your life and destroy everything you've built, he's underestimated all of us. A knock at the door interrupted us. The wedding coordinator peeked in, her professional smile strained. I'm so sorry about everything, she said, but the church needs the room for another event. Is there somewhere I can send your things? Reality crashed back. No wedding, no reception, no honeymoon to Greece next week. My apartment, I said hollowly. The apartment I'd planned to sublet while Daniel and I moved into our new house. As we gathered my belongings, my phone buzzed with a text. Daniel, I need time to think. Don't try to contact me. 5 years of love, of building trust, of planning a future, reduced to a single cold text. He can't really believe this, I said, showing Sarah the message. She read it, her expression darkening. Men are idiots when they're hurt. Give him space to realize how absurd this all is. But as we left the church, I caught sight of a familiar figure watching from across the street. Jake. When our eyes met, he didn't look triumphant or smug. He looked terrified, and that's when I knew. This wasn't just about ruining my wedding. Something much bigger was at stake, and I was determined to find out what. Sleep never came. I spent the night pacing my apartment, wedding dress discarded in a heap on the bathroom floor. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw Daniel's face. The way trust drained from his expression, replaced by doubt and betrayal. By dawn, my sadness had crystallized into something harder. Determination. I grabbed my phone and called Sarah. I need to find Jake, I said when she answered, my voice raspy from crying. He looked scared yesterday. Whatever game he's playing, something's off. I'm already on it, Sarah replied, sounding wide awake despite the early hour. I've been digging all night. Jake's been back in town for 3 months working at Meridian Financial. 3 months? The timeline made my skin crawl. That can't be a coincidence. It gets worse. Guess who else works there? My stomach dropped. Who? Terrell, the same guy who conveniently had those photos ready to show Daniel. I pressed my palm against my forehead, trying to process this information. So they've been working together, planning this. Looks that way. Meet me for coffee in an hour? I have more. 40 minutes later, I sat across from Sarah at a corner table in an empty cafe, both of us hunched over her laptop. Dark circles shadowed her eyes, but her energy was focused, almost feverish. Jake's been living in this apartment complex, she said, pointing to a map. It's not far from your running route. You think he's been following me? I think it's worth finding out. She clicked to another screen. I also found this. A social media post appeared. Jake at a bar with his arm around a woman. She was laughing, head tilted back, dark hair cascading over her shoulders. Something about her looked familiar. Who is she? I asked. Elizabeth Turner. Works at Meridian too. But here's the interesting part. Sarah zoomed in on the woman's face. Notice anything? I studied the image, then felt my breath catch. She looks like me. Similar enough that with the right angle, lighting, and maybe some digital tweaking, she could pass for me in fake photos. I finished, a chill running through me. Have you shown this to Daniel? Sarah's expression tightened. I tried calling him. He's not answering anyone's calls. I swallowed hard, fighting back a fresh wave of hurt. I need to talk to Jake directly. Confront him. Stella, that's dangerous. He has a restraining order history. Which expired 2 years ago, I countered. And I won't go alone. You'll come with me. Sarah hesitated, then nodded. We'll go to his workplace. Public setting, witnesses everywhere. 2 hours later, we stood in the gleaming lobby of Meridian Financial. My heart hammered against my ribs as the receptionist called up to Jake's department. Mr. Sanderson will be down shortly, she said with a practiced smile. I smoothed my blouse, suddenly aware of how I must look. Eyes puffy from crying, hair hastily pulled back. But I straightened my spine. I wouldn't let Jake see me broken. The elevator doors opened, and there he was. He froze when he saw me, that same flash of fear crossing his face before he masked it with a smirk. Stella, shouldn't you be on your honeymoon? His voice carried across the lobby, drawing curious glances. I stepped forward, keeping my voice low but firm. We need to talk. Now. I have nothing to say to you. Really? After what you did yesterday, you owe me an explanation. Jake's eyes darted to Sarah, then back to me. I told the truth, that's all. We know about Elizabeth, Sarah interjected. We know you've been planning this. Something flickered in Jake's expression. Surprise? Maybe even panic. He grabbed my arm, pulling me toward a side hallway. Not here, he hissed. Sarah moved to follow, but I shook my head slightly. I needed to face him alone. In a small conference room, Jake closed the door and turned to me. Up close, I could see the strain in his face, the nervous energy in his movements. You have no idea what you're messing with, he said. Then explain it to me, I demanded. Why destroy my wedding? Why fake those photos? I didn't fake anything. Stop lying. I slammed my palm on the table. I haven't seen you in 3 years, Jake. I never slept with you. Those pictures are fake, and I think Elizabeth helped you create them. He flinched at the name. Keep her out of this. Why? Is she your accomplice or your victim? Jake ran his hands through his hair, a gesture so familiar it sent an unwelcome pang through me. Once I'd loved this man. Once I'd believed his promises. You don't understand, he said, voice suddenly tired. I had to stop the wedding. Why? Because he's not who you think he is. Jake's eyes met mine, unexpectedly sincere. Daniel is dangerous, Stella. I laughed bitterly. Daniel? You're calling him dangerous after what you did to me? I know how it sounds, but I found something. At work. Files. Transactions. He lowered his voice. Daniel's involved in something illegal, something big. The room seemed to tilt slightly. You expect me to believe that? After you humiliated me in front of everyone I love? I tried calling you for weeks. You blocked my number. Of course I blocked you. You stalked me after we broke up. Jake stepped closer. I have proof, Stella, about Daniel. That's why they're after me now. They? Who's they? Before he could answer, his phone buzzed. The color drained from his face as he read the message. I have to go. He moved toward the door. Jake, wait. They know I'm talking to you. His voice shook. I never wanted to hurt you, Stella. But you need to look into Daniel's work at Westlake Partners, the Osiris Project. He slipped out before I could respond, leaving me standing alone with a name I'd never heard before, and the first seed of doubt about the man I'd almost married. The Osiris Project? Sarah repeated, her brow furrowed. We sat in her car in the Meridian Financial parking lot, the air conditioning blasting against the midday heat. And you believe him? I stared out the window, watching as employees filtered in and out of the building. I don't know what to believe anymore. Stella, this is Jake we're talking about. The same man who followed you for months after you broke up. The same man who just destroyed your wedding with fake photos. But what if they weren't fake? The question had been gnawing at me since our confrontation. What if there's something bigger happening? He seemed genuinely scared. Sarah gripped the steering wheel, though the car wasn't moving. So what now? You're going to investigate Daniel based on Jake's word? I pulled out my phone, opening my photos. Daniel smiled back at me from countless images. Hiking trips, dinner dates, quiet mornings with coffee. The man I knew was kind, thoughtful, ethical to a fault. I need to know, I said finally. If there's even a chance Jake is telling the truth about Daniel being involved in something illegal? Then what? You forgive Jake for what he did? No, never. I turned to face her. But I need to understand why my life imploded. I can't move forward until I do. Sarah sighed, then nodded. Westlake Partners. Let's see what we can find. Back at my apartment, we spread our research across my dining table. Westlake Partners was a private equity firm where Daniel had worked before joining his current company 3 years ago, right around when Jake and I had broken up. Nothing unusual here, Sarah said, scrolling through their website. Standard corporate finance stuff. I chewed my lip, thinking. Daniel rarely talked about his time there. Said it wasn't a good fit. That's hardly suspicious. People leave jobs all the time. I know, but... I stopped, remembering something. Wait, there was a photo. From a company event. I dug through a box of memorabilia I'd kept from our relationship. Ticket stubs, cards, printed photos. Near the bottom, I found what I was looking for. Daniel at a corporate gala, champagne glass in hand, smiling stiffly beside a group of executives. This was at Westlake, I said, handing it to Sarah. Look at the banner behind them. She squinted at the image. Westlake Partners, pioneering tomorrow's solutions. She looked up. Generic corporate speak. But look at the logo in the corner. A small emblem sat in the bottom right of the banner. A stylized eye inside a pyramid. The Eye of Horus, I said. An Egyptian symbol. Osiris was an Egyptian god. Sarah's skepticism wavered. That's actually interesting. I grabbed my laptop, searching for Westlake Partners and Osiris. Nothing relevant appeared. I tried different combinations, different search engines. Still nothing. If there is an Osiris project, they've kept it well hidden, Sarah said. I sat back, frustrated. We need someone who knows more about Westlake's operations. What about Daniel's friends from there? Did you meet any? I thought for a moment. Just one. Terrell. Sarah's eyes widened. The same Terrell who had those photos at your wedding? Who works with Jake now? Yes. The connections were starting to form a pattern. Terrell left Westlake around the same time Daniel did. They weren't close, but they knew each other. And now Terrell works with Jake at Meridian. Sarah leaned forward. Stella, what if Jake isn't lying about Daniel, but he's not telling the whole truth either? What if all three of them are involved in something? The thought made my stomach turn. I'd spent 3 years building a life with Daniel, believing I finally understood what healthy love felt like after the chaos with Jake. What if it had all been a lie? My phone buzzed. A text from Ivy. Are you okay? Haven't heard from you since yesterday. Worried. Guilt washed over me. In my determination to uncover the truth, I'd shut out my sister. I need to talk to Ivy, I said. She might have insights we're missing. 2 hours later, Ivy sat across from me in my living room, her expression growing more troubled as I explained everything. Jake's warning, the Osiris connection, Terrell's involvement. This sounds like conspiracy theory territory, she said when I finished. Are you sure you're not just looking for a way to make sense of what happened? Of course I am, I admitted, but that doesn't mean I'm wrong. Ivy reached for my hand. Stella, I'm worried about you. First, Jake humiliates you at your wedding. Now you're investigating Daniel based on Jake's claims? This isn't healthy. So I should just accept that my fiancé thinks I cheated and move on? No, but... She hesitated. Maybe talk to Daniel directly? Ask him about Westlake? He won't answer my calls. Then give him time. This wild goose chase feels like you're avoiding the real issue. Rebuilding trust with Daniel. Her words stung because they contained truth. Part of me was afraid to face Daniel, afraid that even if I proved the photos were fake, the doubt they created could never be erased. I need to know who's lying to me, I said firmly. Jake, Daniel, or both of them, Ivy sighed. Just be careful. Jake was toxic for you. Don't let him pull you back into his orbit. After she left, I found myself staring at the photo from the Westlake Gala again. Something about it nagged at me. I zoomed in on the faces in the background, scanning the crowd of unfamiliar executives. And then I saw her, partially obscured but unmistakable. Elizabeth Turner, the woman from Jake's social media, standing near the back of the room watching Daniel. My phone pinged with an email notification. Unknown sender, subject line, Osiris documentation. Inside was a single file, a scanned document with the Westlake letterhead, dated 3 years ago. Most of it was redacted, but one paragraph remained clear. Project Osiris participants, DM and TT, have successfully completed Phase 1. Transition to Meridian Financial approved for continued asset development and monitoring of subject SW, DM Daniel Murphy, TT Terrell Thomas, and SW, Stella Wade, me. My hands shook as I stared at the document, reading those initials over and over. SW subject, SW me. I called Sarah immediately. I need you to come back, I said, my voice barely steady. Now. While waiting, I paced my apartment, my mind racing through every moment with Daniel. Our accidental meeting at that bookstore. How quickly he'd wanted to get serious. His interest in my work, my friends, my past. Had it all been calculated? Was our entire relationship just asset development? By the time Sarah arrived, rain was pounding against my windows, matching the storm inside me. Jesus, she whispered, reading the document. Who sent this to you? I don't know. The email address is just random numbers. Sarah looked up, her face pale. Stella, if this is real, if Daniel and Terrell were monitoring you as part of some project, then my entire relationship was a lie. Saying it aloud made my knees weak. I sank onto the couch. But why me? What could they possibly want with me? Your work, maybe? Sarah suggested. You do have access to sensitive financial data. I shook my head. I'm a mid-level analyst, nothing special. Sarah sat beside me, her expression hardening. We need to talk to Jake again. He clearly knows more than he's telling us. No. The word came out sharper than I intended. I can't trust Jake either. For all I know, he's part of this too. Then who sent you this document? I stared at the rain streaming down my windows, feeling cornered. I don't know who to trust anymore. You can trust me, Sarah said firmly. Could I, though? The paranoia that had taken root was growing by the minute. Sarah had been my best friend for years, but she'd also known about Jake's plan to disrupt the wedding and hadn't warned me. What else might she be keeping from me? "I need some air," I said suddenly, standing. "I'm going for a walk." "In this storm? Stella, I need to think. Alone." I grabbed my raincoat and keys. "I'll call you later." Outside, the rain soaked through my clothes within minutes, but I welcomed the physical discomfort. It gave me something to focus on besides the sickening betrayal. Without conscious direction, my feet carried me toward the park where Daniel had proposed 6 months ago. I stood under the gazebo where he'd knelt with the ring, water dripping from my hair, and tried to reconcile the man I loved with someone who could coldly monitor me for years. "Thought I might find you here." I whirled around. Yolanda stood at the gazebo entrance, an umbrella in hand, concern etched across her face. "How did you know?" I asked. "Sarah called me. She's worried about you." Yolanda stepped under the shelter, closing her umbrella. "Said you received some disturbing information." I hesitated, suddenly wary. "Did she tell you what it was?" "No, just that you were upset and left in the storm." She studied my face. "What's going on, Stella? This isn't like you." The maternal concern in her voice nearly broke me. Yolanda had been my rock since college, the one who'd helped me through my darkest days after Jake. "I don't know who to trust," I admitted, my voice cracking. "Everyone's been lying to me." Yolanda guided me to a bench. "Start from the beginning." So I did. I told her everything. Jake's disruption, the fake photos, his warning about Daniel, the document linking Daniel and Terrell to something called the Osiris Project, with me as their subject. Yolanda listened without interrupting, her expression growing more troubled with each revelation. "Have you considered," she said carefully when I finished, "that Jake might have fabricated this document too? To drive a wedge between you and Daniel?" "Why would he go to such elaborate lengths?" "Because he never got over you, Stella. Some men can't stand seeing their ex-partners happy with someone else." I wanted to believe her simple explanation. It would be easier than accepting that my entire life might be built on lies. "But what about Terrell?" I pressed. "Why would he help Jake unless there was something bigger happening?" Yolanda sighed. "I don't know, but rushing to conclusions won't help. You need evidence, not just suspicious connections." "What kind of evidence?" "Something concrete linking Daniel to this Osiris project. Something that explains why you were targeted." She squeezed my hand. "And you need to be careful. If there really is something sinister happening, these people won't want you digging." The rain had slowed to a drizzle by the time we left the gazebo. As Yolanda walked me home, a strange calm settled over me. The initial shock was wearing off, replaced by a cold determination. "Thank you," I said when we reached my building. "For listening, for not thinking I'm crazy. I've known you too long to think that." She hugged me tightly. "Promise me you'll be careful." "I will." After she left, I stood in my darkened apartment, staring at my reflection in the window. 3 days ago, I'd been a bride, full of hope. Now I was something else. A woman with nothing left to lose. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. "Storage Unit 247, Riverside Facility. Code 3517, come alone. Answers about Osiris." I should have been scared. Instead, I felt a surge of grim purpose. Whatever game they were playing, I was done being a pawn. As I changed into dry clothes, my gaze fell on the photo from Daniel's nightstand that I'd taken when I moved out. Us laughing on a beach last summer. I turned it face down. The man I loved had never existed. The Riverside storage facility loomed against the night sky, a sprawling complex of identical metal units. Every instinct screamed that I was walking into a trap, yet here I was, guided by desperation and rage. I'd told no one where I was going, not Sarah, not Ivy, not Yolanda. Trust had become a luxury I couldn't afford. Unit 247 was tucked in a back corner, away from the security cameras I'd spotted at the entrance. I punched in the code, 3517, and the padlock clicked open. I hesitated, hand on the door. Once I stepped inside, there would be no going back to blissful ignorance. Drawing a deep breath, I lifted the rolling door. The interior was pitch black. I fumbled for my phone's flashlight, sweeping the beam across the space. Metal shelving lined the walls, stacked with unmarked boxes. A desk sat in the center, its surface bare except for a laptop. "Hello?" My voice echoed in the confined space. No answer. I approached the desk cautiously. The laptop was open, its screen dark. When I touched the trackpad, it illuminated instantly. No password required. A video player filled the screen, paused on an image of an office. I pressed play. "Subject demonstrates continued resistance to standard influence techniques," a male voice said off-camera. The timestamp showed a date from 2 years ago. The camera panned to reveal Daniel sitting behind a desk, reviewing what looked like a file. My file, I realized with a sickening jolt as I glimpsed my photo. "Emotional attachment appears genuine," Daniel continued, speaking to someone recording. "But her psychological profile makes her unpredictable. The trauma from her father's abandonment creates persistent trust issues that complicate the operation." I gripped the edge of the desk to steady myself. Daniel's clinical dissection of my deepest wounds felt like a physical blow. "Recommendation?" asked another voice. Terrell's. "Accelerate timeline to phase 3. Proposal, integration of finances, full access to her professional network." The video ended, replaced by another. This one showed Daniel and Terrell in what appeared to be a conference room at Westlake. "The girl is a complication," said an older man I didn't recognize. "She was never part of the original plan." "She's not a complication," Daniel argued. "She's an opportunity. Her position at the firm gives us access to the Harrington accounts without raising flags." "And if she discovers what you're doing?" Daniel's expression hardened in a way I'd never seen before. "She won't." I felt physically ill. The Daniel I knew, the man who held me through nightmares, who brought me soup when I was sick, who proposed with tears in his eyes, was a carefully constructed fiction. More videos followed. Daniel reporting on our relationship milestones, Terrell tracking my work activities, discussions of how to use my financial access for something they called the redistribution. I was so absorbed in the footage that I didn't hear the storage unit door closing behind me until the metallic clang echoed through the space. I spun around, heart hammering. A figure stood in the shadows. "I wasn't sure you'd come." Elizabeth Turner stepped into the pool of light from the laptop screen. In person, the resemblance between us was even more striking. Same height, similar build, her features a slightly sharper version of my own. "You," I breathed. "You're the woman in the photos with Jake. And you're the woman they used me to impersonate." Her voice was bitter. "We're both pawns, Stella, just in different games. You sent me the document and the text." She nodded. "I've been trying to reach you for months, but they monitor your communications, your movements. They've been watching you since before you met Daniel." "Why? What do they want from me?" "Access. Your firm manages accounts for people who've stolen billions. Westlake identified you as the perfect entry point. Emotionally vulnerable after Jake, professionally positioned to help them access certain accounts." "So everything, my entire relationship with Daniel, was a setup?" The words felt like glass in my throat. "Not at first," Elizabeth said, surprising me. "You were supposed to be a short-term operation, but Daniel broke protocol. He developed genuine feelings." Hope flickered briefly before she continued. "That's what made him dangerous to them. A liability. They've been watching him too, making sure he stays on script." She gestured to the laptop. These videos were his insurance policy, his way of protecting himself if things went wrong. "And Jake? Where does he fit in all this?" Elizabeth's expression darkened. "Jake was recruited to disrupt your wedding. Daniel was getting cold feet about using you. The wedding would have given you legal access to his accounts that would have exposed everything." "So Jake was trying to protect me?" The idea seemed absurd after what he'd done. "In his way. But Jake has his own agenda. Always has." She checked her watch. We need to go. They'll know someone accessed this unit. Who is they? The people behind Osiris. The ones Daniel and Terrell answer to. She moved toward the door. Coming? I hesitated, looking back at the laptop with its damning evidence. Why should I trust you? You shouldn't. Trust no one. Her smile was grim. But right now, I'm the only one telling you the truth. As we slipped out into the night, my phone buzzed. A text from Daniel. We need to talk. I know what you found. Meet me tomorrow, 10 a.m. at the place I proposed. Come alone. Elizabeth read the message over my shoulder, her face paling. He knows, which means they know. Good, I said, a cold resolve settling in my chest. It's time to end this. Stella, you don't understand what these people are capable of. No, I cut her off. They don't understand what I'm capable of. The park looked different in daylight. Peaceful, ordinary, oblivious to the storm raging inside me. I arrived 20 minutes early, positioning myself on a bench with clear sightlines to all approaches. Elizabeth's warnings echoed in my head. They're more dangerous than you realize. I'd spent the night in a hotel under a false name, my mind racing through everything I'd learned. The pieces fit together in a sickening puzzle. Daniel using me for access to accounts, Jake disrupting the wedding, Elizabeth impersonating me in those photos. Everyone playing their assigned roles while I remained blissfully ignorant. At precisely 10 a.m., Daniel appeared on the path, alone as requested. My heart twisted painfully at the sight of him. He looked exhausted, stubble darkening his jaw, his normally immaculate clothes slightly rumpled. For a moment, I could almost believe he was just my heartbroken fiancé, not the manipulator from those videos. He spotted me and froze momentarily before approaching with measured steps. Stella. My name on his lips sounded different now. Cautious, almost reverent. Thank you for coming. Did I have a choice? I kept my voice steady despite the emotions threatening to overwhelm me. He sat beside me, leaving careful distance between us. You always have choices. That's what makes you... you. Save the philosophical bullshit, Daniel. I saw the videos. His shoulders slumped. I know. I set up alerts on that storage unit. When someone accessed it, I figured it had to be you. How long? I demanded. How long have you been using me? Daniel stared at his hands. It wasn't supposed to be like this. When Westlake first identified you as a potential asset, it was just business. Find someone at your firm, get close, gather information. And my psychological profile made me the perfect target. The words tasted bitter. Daddy issues, trust problems. I must have been so easy to manipulate. No. His head snapped up, eyes meeting mine with unexpected intensity. That's why everything changed. You weren't easy. You were careful, guarded. Every bit of trust you gave me felt earned, precious. He swallowed hard. Somewhere along the way, the operation became real for me. You expect me to believe you actually fell in love with me? While reporting on my vulnerabilities? While planning to use me to access accounts? Yes. The simplicity of his answer caught me off guard. That's why I started keeping evidence, making those recordings. I knew I'd need leverage if I ever tried to get out. Get out of what exactly? What is Osiris? Daniel glanced around nervously before leaning closer. A redistribution operation. Westlake identified wealthy clients who made their fortunes through exploitation or fraud. The plan was to access their accounts through various channels, including your firm, and redirect funds to selected causes. You're stealing money from people who stole it first. His eyes pleaded for understanding. I believed in the mission, Stella. Until I met you. Until I realized what it was costing. So Jake was telling the truth? You are dangerous? Daniel's expression hardened. Jake is working both sides. He was hired to stop the wedding, yes, but not to protect you. To protect the operation. My mind raced. But Elizabeth said... Elizabeth? Daniel's face drained of color. You've spoken to Elizabeth? Before I could respond, movement caught my eye. Sarah was walking briskly toward us, her expression grim. Sarah? I stood, confused. What are you doing here? Daniel rose beside me, tension radiating from him. You brought her into this? I didn't tell her I was meeting you. Sarah reached us, slightly breathless. Thank God you're both here. We have a problem. She turned to Daniel. They've moved up the timeline. They know Stella found the storage unit. The casual way she addressed him, the shared understanding in their exchange, it clicked into place with sickening clarity. You're part of this, I whispered, backing away from her. You've been part of this all along. Sarah's expression softened with regret. I was assigned to you before Daniel, to become your friend, to guide you toward the right opportunities. The betrayal cut deeper than anything I'd felt before. Sarah, my best friend for 5 years, my confidant, my maid of honor. All of it was a lie, I said, my voice breaking. Every single relationship in my life. Not all of it, Daniel insisted. What I feel for you is real. Real enough that I've been trying to find a way out for both of us. It's too late for that, Sarah said sharply. They've sent Terrell to tie up loose ends. We need to move now. As if summoned by her words, Terrell appeared at the far end of the park, walking purposefully in our direction. Stella, Daniel said urgently. I know you have no reason to trust me, but right now we need to leave. Together. I looked between them. Daniel, the man I'd loved, whose betrayal had shattered my world. Sarah, my closest friend, whose entire relationship with me had been an assignment. And Terrell, approaching with cold determination. In that moment of paralysis, my phone buzzed. A text from Yolanda. Whatever they're telling you, don't believe them. I have the real Osiris files. Come to me. No, I said, stepping back from both of them. This ends now, but not your way. I pulled out my phone, showing them the screen. I've been recording everything. Your confessions, your explanations, all of it. And I've just sent it to multiple secure locations. Daniel's eyes widened. Stella, you don't understand what you've done. I understand perfectly. My voice grew stronger with each word. You all played me like a game, used my past, my pain, my trust against me. But that ends today. I held up my hand as Terrell reached us, stopping him in his tracks. I've sent everything to the FBI. I lied, watching their faces pale. The videos, the documents, this conversation. Your entire operation is exposed. Sarah stepped toward me. Stella, please. Stay back. I backed away, addressing all three of them. You have about 10 minutes before this park is swarming with federal agents. I suggest you use them wisely. The look of genuine fear that crossed their faces told me my bluff had worked. As I turned and walked away, my phone buzzed again with another message from Yolanda. They're coming for you. Run. I ran until my lungs burned, weaving through side streets and alleyways. Yolanda's warning pounded in my head with each footstep. They're coming for you. They're coming for you. But who was they? Daniel and Sarah? Terrell? Some shadowy organization behind Osiris? And where did Yolanda fit into all this? I ducked into a coffee shop, ordering a drink I didn't want just to blend in. My hands trembled as I texted Yolanda. Where are you? Where should I meet you? Her response came immediately. My house. Come through the back. Don't tell anyone. I hesitated. Trust had become a luxury I couldn't afford, yet I was running out of options. If Yolanda truly had the Osiris files, she might be my only chance at understanding the full scope of what I'd been caught in. 30 minutes and 2 bus transfers later, I approached Yolanda's modest suburban home from the rear, as instructed. The back door opened before I could knock. Quickly, she urged, pulling me inside. Her normally immaculate appearance was disheveled, her eyes darting nervously. Were you followed? I don't think so. I collapsed into a kitchen chair, the adrenaline crash hitting me hard. Yolanda, what's happening? How are you involved in this? She placed a laptop on the table between us. I worked for Westlake before I retired. I was in compliance, monitoring internal operations for legal violations. You knew about Osiris? About what they were doing to me? Pain flashed across her face. Not until recently. When you told me about the document you received, certain pieces clicked into place. Projects I'd flagged years ago but was told to ignore. She opened the laptop, typing in a complex password. I still had backdoor access to some systems. What I found... She shook her head. Osiris wasn't what Daniel told you. It wasn't about redistributing stolen wealth. Then what was it? A blackmail operation. She turned the screen toward me. They identified wealthy, powerful people with secrets. Then they placed operatives, like Daniel, like Sarah, to gather compromising information. Sometimes financial, sometimes personal. I scanned the documents on screen. Lists of targets, operation parameters, payment structures. So they weren't stealing money. They were extorting it. Exactly. And you were valuable because your position gave them access to sensitive client information. Information they could leverage. My stomach twisted. And Jake? Where does he fit? Jake was originally one of their operatives too. That's how you met him in the first place. The revelation hit me like a physical blow. Our entire relationship was fabricated? From the very beginning? Yes, but something unexpected happened. Jake actually fell for you. He went off script, became possessive, volatile. They terminated his involvement but kept monitoring you through other channels. My mind reeled, reconstructing the past 3 years through this new lens. So when Jake showed up at my wedding, he was trying to stop you from legally binding yourself to Daniel, yes, but not to protect you, to get back at them for cutting him out. She sighed. Jake's not a hero in this story, Stella. He's just another manipulator with his own agenda. A knock at the front door made us both freeze. Are you expecting someone? I whispered. Yolanda shook her head, moving cautiously toward the entryway. I followed, heart pounding. Through the peephole, I saw Ivy standing on the porch, alone and visibly upset. It's my sister, I said, relief washing over me. Yolanda opened the door. Ivy rushed in, throwing her arms around me. Thank God, she breathed. I've been trying to reach you for hours. How did you know I was here? I asked, suddenly wary. Sarah told me. She said you were in danger, that I should find you before they did. Alarm bells rang in my head. Sarah told you? Ivy, Sarah is part of this. She's been lying to me for years. Confusion crossed Ivy's face. What? No, Sarah called me in tears. She said she's been working undercover for the FBI, investigating Westlake and Osiris. That's why she got close to you. I looked to Yolanda, whose expression had turned unreadable. The FBI isn't involved, Yolanda said firmly. Sarah is lying to you, Ivy. Actually, came a voice from the doorway. She's not. Elizabeth stood there, holding up a badge. Elizabeth Turner, Federal Bureau of Investigation, and you, Yolanda McGee, are under arrest for conspiracy, fraud, and obstruction of justice. As if on cue, agents swarmed into the house. One gently moved me and Ivy aside while others surrounded Yolanda. I don't understand, I stammered. Yolanda was helping me. Yolanda McGee isn't just former Westlake compliance, Elizabeth explained, her voice softening. She's the architect of Osiris. The entire operation was her design. I stared at Yolanda, the woman who'd been my surrogate mother for years. Is that true? Yolanda's face hardened as agents cuffed her. You have no idea what some people deserve, Stella. The wealthy, the privileged, they take and take while others suffer. Osiris was justice. And me? Was using me justice too? You were a means to an end. Nothing personal. As they led her away, Elizabeth turned to me. Sarah really is one of ours. We placed her years ago to infiltrate Osiris. When you became a target, her assignment expanded to protect you while gathering evidence. And Daniel? I asked, almost afraid to hear the answer. Recruited by Westlake legitimately, then drawn into Osiris. When he realized what was happening with you, he began cooperating with us. Those videos you found? He made sure they'd be discovered. The world seemed to tilt beneath my feet. So everything was still a lie, just a different kind of lie. Not everything, said a familiar voice. Daniel stood in the doorway, Sarah beside him. The sight of them sent conflicting waves of anger and relief through me. The operation was real, Sarah said quietly. My assignment was real. But our friendship, Stella? That was never fake. And us? I asked Daniel, my voice barely audible. The beginning was calculated, he admitted. But everything since then, every moment, every feeling, that was real. I fell in love with you, Stella. That's why I started working with the FBI. To protect you. To deserve you. I looked between them. The fiancé who'd lied to get close to me but fought to protect me. The best friend who'd been placed in my life but had genuinely cared. My sister, the only person who'd been exactly who she claimed to be all along. I need time, I said finally. Time to process, to think, to decide what's real for me. Daniel nodded, understanding in his eyes. Take all the time you need. I'll be here if you're ready. As the agents finished their work, Ivy put her arm around me. Come stay with me. No pressure, no decisions, just space to breathe. Outside, the morning sun broke through clouds, casting long shadows across the lawn. I watched as Yolanda was placed in a government vehicle, as Elizabeth conferred with other agents, as Sarah and Daniel waited respectfully at a distance. For years, I'd been a pawn in someone else's game, my fears and vulnerabilities exploited, my trust betrayed. But standing there, I realized something had shifted inside me. The woman who had walked down that aisle in a white dress, desperate for approval and terrified of abandonment, was gone. In her place stood someone stronger, someone who would never again let others define her reality. I'm ready to go, I told Ivy, turning my back on the chaos. Not running away this time, but walking deliberately toward a future that, for the first time in my life, would be entirely of my own making.
The candles flicker in perfect rhythm with my heartbeat as I watch him from across the table. Clint's cologne mingles with the restaurant's sage butter, and I can already taste the words I've rehearsed 1,000 times. Tonight's the night I tell him I found the perfect venue for our wedding. My phone buzzes. Probably Rosalie checking in. She's been as excited about this dinner as I am. But when I glance down, it's not her name I see. It's Samantha's. And the preview snippet turns my world to ice. Last night was amazing, baby. Can't wait to feel your hands on me, I stop breathing. My fingers hover over the notification, trembling. Part of me wants to throw the phone across the restaurant, pretend I never saw it. But I've always been the type to rip off Band-Aids. I open the message. Last night was amazing, baby. Can't wait to feel your hands on me again. Still can't believe Joanna hasn't figured it out. She's so wrapped up in wedding venues, she probably wouldn't notice if you proposed to me right in front of her. The words blur as tears threaten to spill. I blink them back, my chest so tight it hurts to breathe. Across the table, Clint's talking about some client meeting, completely oblivious to the fact that he just shattered 3 years of trust with one misdirected text. You okay, babe? He reaches for my hand. You look pale. I pull back before he can touch me. His familiar fingers suddenly seem alien, tainted. Those same hands touched her last night. While I was up late comparing flower arrangements, he was... Joanna? His forehead creases with concern. Such a good actor. I'm fine. My voice comes out steady, surprising even me. Just remembered I need to respond to a work email. I scroll up through their message history with numb fingers. Weeks of conversations. Photos I wish I could unsee. Plans made around my schedule. Inside jokes about keeping me in the dark. And Samantha. My stomach lurches. His best friend since college. The woman who helped me pick out engagement rings. Who hugged me tight when he proposed. Who's been looking me in the eye all this time, playing maid of honor while sleeping with my fiancé. The waiter appears with our entrees. The salmon for the lady and ribeye for sir. Can I get you anything else? Clint beams at him. Actually, could we get another bottle of the Cabernet? We're celebrating tonight. Oh, we'll be celebrating all right. Just not the way he thinks. I take a slow sip of water, buying time to steady my voice. You know what? I'm not feeling great. Maybe we should rain check. But he starts to protest, then seems to think better of it. Of course, if you're not well. Let me get the check. I watch him signal the waiter, study the familiar lines of his face. How many times has he looked at me with those warm brown eyes and lied? How many nights did he leave my bed to go to hers? My phone buzzes again. Another message from Samantha. Oops, wrong thread. Delete that. Too late, you backstabbing witch. Ready? Clint stands, holding my coat with that same gentle smile he wore when he promised to love me forever. I let him help me into my jacket, suppressing a shudder at his touch. Let him think I'm coming down with something. Let him believe tonight was just another dinner. But as we walk to the car, my mind is already racing ahead, to the joint accounts we opened for wedding expenses, to the promotion Samantha's up for at work, the one that hinges on her squeaky clean reputation, to all the careful little notes I've kept about their indiscretions, just in case something felt off. I was right. Something was off. And now I'm going to burn their perfect little world to the ground. You sure you're okay? Clint asks as we reach the car. You're awfully quiet. I turn to him with the brightest smile I can manage. Just tired, honey. Take me home? He kisses my forehead, and I let him, even as my skin crawls. Let him think he's won. Let them both think they've fooled me. Because here's the thing about nice girls like me. We're raised to be sweet, to forgive, to take the high road. But what they don't tell you is that even the sweetest honey can attract wasps, and I'm done being sweet. My reflection stares back at me from the bathroom mirror, mascara tracking familiar paths down my cheeks. 3 hours. That's how long I've been locked in here, scrolling through their messages until my eyes burn. Each word is another knife in my chest. A gentle knock breaks my trance. Joe, you've been in there a while, still feeling sick? I splash cold water on my face, erasing the evidence. Just a minute. When I emerge, Clint's waiting with a glass of ginger ale and concern etched across his features. The perfect, caring fiancé. I want to throw the glass in his face. Instead, I take a small sip. Thanks. I think I just need to sleep it off. He tucks a strand of hair behind my ear, and I fight the urge to recoil. Get some rest, babe. I've got an early meeting tomorrow anyway. Yeah, I bet you do. I lie rigid in our bed, listening to him shower and pack his gym bag for morning. Every domestic sound now carries a double meaning. Is he texting her? Planning their next rendezvous? My phone lights up. Rosalie. How'd the venue conversation go? I stare at her message for a long moment before typing, Can you come over tomorrow? Need to talk. Her response is immediate. Of course, everything okay? No. Sleep refuses to come. I watch the numbers on our bedroom clock tick past midnight, then 1, then 2. Beside me, Clint's breathing is deep and even. How can he sleep so peacefully with all these lies between us? At 3 a.m., I give up. Careful not to wake him, I slip out of bed and pad to the kitchen. The apartment feels different in the dark, like all our framed memories are watching me with new eyes. 3 years of photos, smiling faces telling stories I thought I understood. I pull up Samantha's Instagram, masochistically scrolling through her perfect feed. There we are at my engagement party, her arm around my shoulders as I show off the ring. Her caption, so happy for my bestie. Jar future Mrs. Clint. The timestamp hits me like a punch to the gut. She'd already been sleeping with him then. My phone buzzes. A text from Samantha herself. Hey girl, don't forget we're meeting the florist at 10 tomorrow. Can't wait. The audacity steals my breath. I type and delete 4 different responses before settling on, something came up, need to reschedule. Her reply is instant. Oh no, everything okay? Want to grab coffee and talk about it? I actually laugh out loud, the sound harsh in the quiet kitchen. Talk about what exactly? How you've been fucking my fiancé? A new message appears, from Clint to her, accidentally shared to our linked iPad. Miss you already. Lunch tomorrow? The screen blurs as fresh tears fall. I swipe them away angrily, opening my laptop instead. First order of business, changing all my passwords. Then I start documenting everything. Screenshots, dates, times. The joint account statements showing suspicious charges at hotels. By sunrise, my eyes are gritty, but my hands have stopped shaking. I hear Clint stirring, getting ready for his early meeting. He finds me at the kitchen counter, nursing a coffee. Feeling better? Much. I manage a weak smile. Have a good meeting. He kisses my forehead. Thanks for understanding about last night. We'll do the venue talk soon, promise. The door clicks shut behind him, and I count to 100 before calling Rosalie. She answers on the first ring. I'm already on my way. 20 minutes later, we're sitting on my couch, and I'm showing her everything. Her face grows darker with each revelation. That absolute bastard, she breathes. And Samantha. I always thought she was fake, but this... I don't know what to do, I admit. Part of me wants to just walk away. But then I think about them laughing at me behind my back, planning their perfect little future while I was planning our wedding, and I want to destroy them? Rosalie finishes. Her eyes meet mine, hard and bright. Good. What? They deserve everything coming to them. She grabs my hand, and I'm going to help you deliver it. I stare at her, this friend who's been more like a sister for the past decade. You don't think that makes me a terrible person? Honey, they're the terrible people. You're just making sure karma does her job. She squeezes my fingers. Question is, are you ready to stop being the nice girl they think you are? My phone buzzes again. Another message from Samantha about wedding details. As if on cue, a notification from the joint account pops up. A charge at the hotel where she works. I look at Rosalie, something cold and certain settling in my chest. You know what? I think I am. Morning sunlight streams through my office window as I stare at the email draft I've been crafting for the past hour. My coffee's gone cold, forgotten as I weigh each word carefully. One wrong move could spoil everything. You're here early, Frankie says, dropping into the chair beside my desk. She eyes the darkness under my eyes. Rough weekend? If she only knew. I minimize the email before she can read it. Just couldn't sleep. Wedding stress? She waggles her eyebrows. Or was Clint keeping you up? The innocent question hits like a slap. I force a laugh that sounds hollow even to me. Something like that? My phone lights up. Samantha again. Missing my wedding planning buddy? Lunch today? Frankie catches my expression. Okay, spill. What's really going on? I hesitate. Frankie's not just a coworker. She's become a friend over the past year. More importantly, she knows things about Samantha that could be useful. They worked together before Samantha moved to her current firm. Can we grab coffee, somewhere private? 10 minutes later, we're in the building's deserted courtyard. My hands shake as I tell her everything, watching her face shift from shock to fury. That manipulative little snake, she breathes when I finish. God, this explains so much. What do you mean? Frankie glances around before leaning closer. Remember that huge account Samantha landed last year? The one that got her fast-tracked for partner? I nod. Samantha hadn't shut up about it for months. She didn't land it. She stole it from another associate, forged some documents, took credit for work that wasn't hers. I had proof, but she threatened to ruin my career if I said anything. My mind races. Do you still have this proof? Somewhere. Frankie's eyes narrow. Why? Because Samantha's up for partner next month, and her perfect reputation is everything to her. Understanding dawns on Frankie's face. You're not just walking away, are you? Would you? She studies me for a long moment. The old files are probably still in my cloud storage. Give me a day to find them. Back at my desk, I return to my email draft with renewed purpose. Subject line, anonymous tip, ethics violation. Recipient, managing partner, Samantha's firm. My cursor hovers over the send button. This is it, my first real move. Once I hit send, there's no going back. I click. My phone buzzes immediately. Clint. Hey, beautiful. Dinner tonight? Miss you. Miss me or miss having me fooled? I text back, can't. Girls' night with Rosalie. His response is quick. Have fun. Love you. I want to throw up. Instead, I pull up the joint account records again, documenting every suspicious charge. Hotels, restaurants, jewelry I never received. Each transaction is another nail in their coffin. A knock at my door makes me jump. It's Aaliyah from legal. Got a minute? She doesn't wait for an answer before closing my door. We need to talk about Samantha Shaw. My heart stops. What about her? I know what you're doing. Aaliyah's voice is low, intense. The anonymous email? That was you. I don't know what. Save it. She holds up a hand. I'm not here to stop you. I'm here to help. I stare at her, confused. Why would you help me? Because 3 years ago, Samantha did the same thing to my sister. Different man, same story. Aaliyah's eyes are hard. She didn't just break my sister's heart. She destroyed her career in the process, made sure she'd never work in this city again. The pieces click together. Your sister was Lauren. Aaliyah nods, the associate whose work Samantha stole. My mind spins with possibilities. What exactly are you offering? Information, contacts, whatever you need. She slides a USB drive across my desk, starting with this, every email Samantha sent from her old work account, including some very interesting exchanges with your fiancé dating back 18 months. 18 months. The words hit me like physical blows. That's before we even got engaged. Why didn't you use this yourself? Statute of limitations on the ethics violation. Plus, it would have looked like sour grapes coming from me. Aaliyah's smile is razor sharp. But from an anonymous source, combined with whatever else you've got, that's a different story. I pick up the drive, feeling its weight in my palm. Thank you. Don't thank me. Just make it count. She turns to leave, then pauses. And Joanna? The thing about people like Samantha? They never think the nice ones will fight back. Use that. I plug in the drive, my screen filling with hundreds of emails, each one a new weapon in my arsenal. They want to play games? Fine. Game on. The clock's steady tick fills my apartment as I sort through Aaliyah's files, each new revelation like another twist of the knife. My laptop screen casts a harsh glow in the darkness. It's well past midnight, but sleep feels impossible. A message from Clint lights up my phone. Working late again. Don't wait up. Working late. Right. I pull up the tracking app I installed on our shared iPad. The blinking dot shows him at the Grand Hotel downtown. Same place he took me for our first anniversary. My hands shake as I open another email thread. This one's from 16 months ago, right after he proposed. Samantha to Clint. She actually thinks I'm helping plan the wedding. If she knew what we did right after she said yes. The wine glass in my hand cracks before I realize I'm gripping it too tight. Red spreads across my palm like blood. My doorbell rings, making me jump. It's almost 1 a.m. Who could... Through the peephole, I see Bryce from work, his usually immaculate suit rumpled. My mentor's face is grave as I open the door. We need to talk, he says without preamble, about what you're planning. My stomach drops. How did you... Aaliyah told me. He steps inside, taking in the scattered papers and glowing screens. She's worried you're in over your head. I can handle it. Can you? He picks up a document, the ethics complaint I'm preparing. Because once you start this, there's no going back. Lives will be destroyed. Careers ended. Are you ready for those consequences? They deserve it. Maybe. He sits heavily on my couch. But revenge is like holding a hot coal to throw at someone else. You'll burn yourself worst of all. So I should just let them win? My voice cracks. Let them laugh about how stupid trusting Joanna never saw it coming. No, but there are other ways. I found more files. I cut him off, pulling up emails on my screen. It's not just Samantha stealing credit for work. She and Clint have been manipulating client accounts, moving money around. Small amounts, but it adds up. Bryce goes very still. You're sure? I've traced the transactions. They've been doing it for months through the firm's trust accounts. I laugh bitterly. Guess they needed funds for all those hotel rooms? He studies the evidence, his expression darkening. This is serious, Joanna. Criminal charges serious. I know. Then you also know that if you use this, there's no controlling the fallout. People could go to jail. Good. Including innocent people who might have unknowingly approved these transactions. That pulls me up short. I hadn't considered collateral damage. Look, Bryce says gentler, I understand wanting justice, but sometimes the best revenge is living well. Walk away, start fresh. My phone buzzes, Samantha posting on Instagram. A photo of her and Clint at the hotel bar, his arm around her waist. Caption, late night work session with the best mentor ever. Zlarp, blessed. I turn my phone to show Bryce. Still think I should walk away? He stares at the photo, jaw tightening. They're not even trying to hide it anymore, are they? They think I'm too pathetic to notice, too nice to fight back. I meet his eyes. Are they right? After a long moment, he sighs. No. But if we're doing this, we're doing it smart. No room for mistakes. We? You think I'm letting my best analyst take on corporate fraud alone? He pulls out his phone. I know some people in the SEC. Let me make some calls. Hope flares in my chest. You'll help me? On one condition. His expression is deadly serious. We do this by the book. Everything documented, everything legal. No shortcuts, no matter how tempting. Deal? I think about the other plans I've been considering. The more personal, painful forms of revenge. But Bryce is right. This needs to be bulletproof. Deal. He nods, already dialing. Good. Now show me everything you've found. And Joanna? He pauses. Delete that tracking app. We do this clean, or we don't do it at all. I close the app, watching Clint's location disappear. Bryce is right. I need to be smarter than my anger. My phone lights up again. Another Instagram notification. This time it's an old photo Samantha posted. Me and her at my engagement party, both beaming at the camera. Caption, throwback to the happiest day. Can't wait to stand beside my best friend at her wedding. I show Bryce. They really think they're untouchable. He looks at the photo, then at the financial records spread across my coffee table. Then let's prove them wrong. Properly. I nod, something cold and certain settling in my chest. They want to play at being professional? Fine. Let's get professional. Rosalie's hug feels like armor as I try to stop shaking. We're in her kitchen, and I've just shown her the latest Instagram post. Samantha and Clint at a jewelry store, her trying on rings. The caption, just helping my bestie pick the perfect wedding bands. I'm going to be sick, I whisper. No, you're not. Rosalie's voice is steel. You're going to be angry. I am angry. I'm furious. But it's not enough. I push away from her counter. The SEC investigation could take months. Meanwhile, they're out there flaunting everything, making me look like an idiot. So, don't wait. She pours more wine. You have enough to destroy them both right now. Bryce says we have to do this right. By the book. Bryce isn't the one watching his fiancée parade around with his mistress. Rosalie's eyes narrow. Speaking of which, why is he so invested in helping you? I pause, wine glass halfway to my lips. What do you mean? I mean, he's awfully concerned about how you handle this. Maybe he has his own agenda? It's not like that. He's just looking out for me. Like Samantha was just looking out for you? The words hit like a slap. Before I can respond, my phone rings. Frankie. Turn on Channel 6 right now, she says without greeting. Rosalie grabs the remote. The news anchor's voice fills the room. Allegations of misconduct at Preston and Myers law firm. Sources say multiple partners are under investigation for financial irregularities. My heart stops. This wasn't supposed to leak yet. Did you do this? Frankie demands. No, I don't know how. Well, Samantha's having a meltdown at the office. She's convinced someone's out to get her. Is she naming names? Not yet, but Joe? Frankie's voice drops. She's not the only one panicking. Half the senior partners are shredding documents like crazy. I think of Bryce's warnings about collateral damage. What if he was right? My phone buzzes. Speak of the devil. Need to see you. Office. Now. I have to go. I grab my coat. Want me to come? Rosalie offers. I shake my head. I need to handle this. The office is eerily quiet for midday. Bryce's face is thunderous as I enter his office. Close the door. I do. I didn't leak anything. I know. He runs a hand through his hair. Because I did. What? The SEC was dragging their feet. But now? He gestures at his computer, showing dozens of news alerts. Now they have to act fast, before evidence disappears. But I said we do this legally. I never said we couldn't force their hand. He leans forward. But there's something else you need to know. My stomach drops. What? The financial trail? It goes deeper than Samantha and Clint. Way deeper. He pulls up a document. Look who authorized their access to those accounts. A familiar name jumps out. My blood runs cold. No, that's impossible. I'm sorry, Joanna, but Rosalie's signature is all over these documents. The room spins. I grab his desk for support. She's my best friend. Is she, or has she been playing both sides? My mind races back through conversations, subtle suggestions, pushing me toward rash actions. Oh God, I sink into a chair. She's been feeding them information. The question is why? Bryce's voice is gentle. And what are you going to do about it? My phone buzzes. Rosalie, everything okay? Want me to come get you? Another message arrives. Clint, we need to talk. About us. About everything. Then Samantha, I know it was you. Better watch your back. The threats don't frighten me anymore. What terrifies me is how close I came to confiding everything in Rosalie. How many of my plans has she already leaked? Joanna? Bryce prompts softly. What do you want to do? I look at my phone, at the people I trusted most, trying to play me from all sides. Fine. They want to see what happens when nice girls get pushed too far? I meet Bryce's eyes. I want to play them at their own game. He nods slowly. Then let's make sure you win. I silence my phone, ignoring the cascade of messages. They think they know what I'm planning. They don't know anything. Not yet. The engagement party invitation sits on my kitchen counter like a ticking bomb. Rosalie dropped it off this morning. Cream-colored cardstock with gold lettering, celebrating Clint and me. As if nothing's changed. As if she hasn't been betraying me all along. My phone lights up. Samantha. Everything's set for Saturday. Can't wait to toast the happy couple. I bet you can't. A knock at my door makes me jump. Through the peephole, I see Frankie looking nervous. We have a problem, she says as soon as I let her in. Samantha knows about the SEC tip. My heart races. How? Because Rosalie told her. Frankie pulls out her phone, showing me screenshots. They've been working together for months. Look at the dates. The timestamps match perfectly with every major decision I've made about the wedding. Every time I confided in Rosalie, she was reporting back to them. There's more. Frankie hesitates. They're planning something for the engagement party. I don't know what, but another knock cuts her off. This time it's Aaliyah. Good. You're both here. She closes the door firmly. We need to move fast. Bryce just got called into an emergency board meeting. They're trying to pin the financial irregularities on him. What? The room spins. But he's helping me. Exactly. Samantha and her allies are framing it as a vendetta. They've manufactured evidence suggesting he's been manipulating accounts to set them up. My stomach lurches. This is my fault. I dragged him into this. It gets worse. Aaliyah continues. Rosalie's been spotted meeting with the board. She's their star witness. Of course she is. My best friend, the perfect betrayal artist. My phone buzzes. Clint, can we talk, please? It's important. Then Rosalie. Girl, where are you? We need to finalize the party details. And Samantha. Better watch your steps, sweetie. Wouldn't want anything to ruin the big day. Something inside me snaps. No. I stand up, surprising even myself with how steady my voice is. They don't get to win this one. Frankie and Aaliyah exchange glances. What are you thinking? Aaliyah asks carefully. I pick up the invitation, running my fingers over the embossed letters. They want an engagement party? Let's give them one they'll never forget. Joanna, Frankie starts. Listen. I lay out the evidence we've gathered, the financial records, the emails, Rosalie's betrayal. They think they've backed us into a corner, but they've actually given us the perfect stage. Understanding dawns in Aaliyah's eyes. The party. Everyone who matters will be there. Exactly. Board members, firm partners, clients. I smile and it feels dangerous. The perfect audience. It's risky, Frankie warns. If it backfires, then I've lost everything anyway. I meet their eyes, but I'm not going down alone. My phone rings. Bryce, I put it on speaker. They're moving faster than we thought, he says without preamble. The board meeting's a setup. They're voting to terminate me tomorrow. Unless I throw you under the bus. Say you fabricated everything out of jealousy. I close my eyes, pieces clicking into place. That's their play. Discredit you. Discredit the evidence. Pretty much. He sounds exhausted. I'm sorry, Joanna. I tried. Don't apologize. I look at the invitation again. Come to the party. What? Trust me, just be there. After we hang up, Aaliyah raises an eyebrow. You sure about this? No. I pull up my email, starting to type. But I'm done playing defense. My phone explodes with messages. Rosalie. Found your dream centerpieces. Samantha. Can't wait to give my toast. Clint. Please call me. We need to talk. I silence them all, focusing on the email. Subject line. Engagement party update. Change of venue. What do you need from us? Frankie asks. Everything. I hit send, watching the invitation to my own destruction wing its way to everyone who's ever underestimated me. And perfect timing. Because here's the thing about nice girls. We know how to plan one hell of a party, and this one's going to be unforgettable. The hotel ballroom sparkles with fairy lights and champagne flutes, a perfect backdrop for destruction. I adjust my cream silk dress, the one Samantha helped me pick out, insisting it made me look innocent and bridal. Tonight, that works in my favor. Everything's ready, Frankie murmurs, appearing at my elbow. Aaliyah has the presentation queued up. I nod, watching Clint work the room. He's wearing the blue tie I gave him for our anniversary, making small talk with board members who have no idea what's coming. Samantha glides past in a red dress that probably cost more than my car, shooting me a sympathetic smile. Nervous, sweetie? Don't worry, I'll make sure everything's perfect. I bet you will. Rosalie appears with champagne. Here's to the happy couple. My hands don't shake as I take the glass. Thanks for everything, Rose. I couldn't have done any of this without you. Her smile flickers, just slightly. She knows me too well not to hear the edge in my voice. The room fills with familiar faces, colleagues, friends, family, all here to celebrate love, all about to witness something very different. Bryce arrives last, nodding almost imperceptibly. Showtime. Clint taps his glass, calling for attention. If I could have everyone's eyes up front. Actually, I cut in, moving to the small stage. I'd like to say something first. He blinks, surprised but pleased, probably expecting some sappy declaration of love. When I discovered my fiancé was sleeping with my maid of honor, gasps ripple through the crowd, I had two choices. I could fall apart, or I could pay attention. Samantha's glass slips from her fingers, shattering on the marble floor. Clint's face drains of color. Paying attention led to some interesting discoveries. I gesture to Aaliyah, who starts the presentation. Financial records fill the screen behind me. Like how my loving fiancé and his mistress have been embezzling from client accounts. The board members straighten, faces hardening, but they had help. I turn to Rosalie, who's already backing toward the door. My best friend, who's been feeding them information while helping them cover their tracks. For a cut of the profits, of course. Security guards, arranged by Bryce, block the exits. That's ridiculous, Samantha sputters. She's clearly unstable. The SEC doesn't think so. I nod to Bryce, who produces official-looking documents. Neither does the ethics board or the police. Clint steps forward, hands raised. Baby, let's talk about this. We're done talking. My voice carries across the suddenly silent room. I have copies of every email, every transaction, every secret meeting, including the ones from before our engagement. He stops cold. Oh yes, I continue, savage satisfaction burning in my chest. I know everything. How you never intended to marry me. How this whole engagement was a cover while you and Samantha moved money around. How you used my wedding planning to explain suspicious charges. You can't prove, Samantha starts. Actually, she can. Every head turns. Frankie steps forward, holding up her phone. I've been recording everything, including your confession from last week about stealing my work, and Lauren's, and everyone else you've stepped on. Chaos erupts. Board members demand explanations. Clients call their lawyers. Security moves in as Samantha lunges for Frankie's phone. Through it all, I stay perfectly still, watching my carefully constructed bomb detonate. Joanna. Rosalie's voice breaks as security leads her past. I'm so sorry. Save it for your testimony. Clint makes one last attempt, reaching for my hand. I did love you in my way. I step back, letting him grasp air. Your way wasn't good enough. The police arrive, badges flashing. Samantha's mascara runs as they read her rights. She looks smaller somehow, stripped of her power. You've ruined everything, she spits. No. I smile and it feels like freedom. I just showed everyone who you really are. Bryce appears at my side as they're led away. You okay? Ask me tomorrow. I watch Clint's blue tie disappear through the door, but I think I will be. The room buzzes with shocked conversations and hurried phone calls. My perfectly planned engagement party has become perfectly planned exposure. Every person who needs to witness their downfall is here, recording, remembering. Ms. Lewis, a detective approaches. We'll need your official statement. I nod, suddenly exhausted. It's done. All of it. Aaliyah squeezes my shoulder. Need company at the station? No. I straighten my cream silk dress. No longer innocent, no longer bridal. I can handle this part alone. Because that's the thing about nice girls. We don't just get even, we get better. Dawn breaks over the city as I leave the police station, my heels clicking against empty sidewalks. My cream silk dress is wrinkled, mascara smudged, but I've never felt more polished. My phone, silent for hours during questioning, buzzes to life. Dozens of messages flood in. Colleagues, friends, even Clint's mother expressing shock and support. I ignore them all, opening only one. A news alert about multiple arrests at Preston and Myers. A familiar car idles at the curb. Bryce rolls down his window. Need a ride? Actually, I think I'll walk. The morning air feels clean, new. But thank you for everything. He studies me for a moment. You know, when I first agreed to help, I thought this was about revenge. Wasn't it? No. He smiles slightly. This was about justice. There's a difference. I think about Samantha's face as they led her away. Clint's stammered excuses, Rosalie's tears. The satisfaction I feel isn't hot like vengeance. It's cool and clear, like truth finally surfacing. The board wants to meet with you, Bryce continues, about taking over Samantha's clients. I laugh. Seriously? You proved yourself more competent than half their partners last night. Plus, you've got quite a fan club forming. Seems a lot of people were waiting for someone to expose the rot. I'll think about it. But we both know I won't accept. That firm holds too many ghosts now. My phone buzzes again. Frankie. Breakfast? Aaliyah's buying. This time I smile and reply, on my way. The diner is nearly empty when I arrive. Frankie and Aaliyah occupy a corner booth, looking as exhausted as I feel. A third person sits with them. Lauren, Aaliyah's sister, the first of Samantha's victims. Hope you don't mind, Aaliyah says as I slide in. She wanted to thank you in person. Lauren's eyes are bright. You did what I couldn't, what none of us could. We did it together. I accept the coffee Frankie pushes my way. All of us. Speaking of together, Frankie pulls out her tablet. You might want to see this. It's an email from one of the board members, announcing an internal investigation into similar patterns at other firms. Apparently, Samantha and Clint's scheme wasn't unique, just the first to be exposed. They're calling it the Nice Girl Rebellion, Aaliyah smirks. Apparently, you've inspired quite a movement. That's not what I intended. No? Lauren's voice is soft. You just wanted your own justice. But sometimes that's enough to show others they can fight too. My phone lights up. A text from an unknown number? My heart stops when I read it. Should have known you'd figure it out. You were always smarter than they thought. R. Rosalie. Somehow messaging from custody. Another text follows. For what it's worth, I really was your friend, until ambition made me forget what that meant. I'm sorry. I stare at the words until they blur. Part of me wants to respond, to ask why, to understand how our decade of friendship meant so little, but some questions don't deserve answers. I delete the messages. You okay? Frankie asks. Getting there. I look around the table at these women who stood beside me, who helped turn betrayal into breakthrough. Actually, I have a proposition for you all. They lean in as I outline my idea, a new consulting firm specializing in corporate ethics and fraud prevention, using our combined experience to help others spot the warning signs we missed. Turn our scars into armor. Aaliyah muses, I like it. More than that, Lauren adds, turn them into shields for others. My phone buzzes one last time. Bryce. Whatever you decide, you've got my reference. And my respect. I think about the woman I was just days ago, planning a wedding built on lies. She seems like a stranger now, someone who measured her worth by others' approval. So, Frankie grins, raising her coffee cup. What should we call ourselves? I look down at my wrinkled cream silk dress, then at these fierce, brilliant women who helped me rise from its ashes. The answer comes easily. Phoenix partners. Because that's the final lesson about nice girls. We don't just survive the fire, we learn to fly.